ruling is a win for the president, saying he acted properly when moving to end President Trump's Remain in Mexico policy for asylum seekers. However, that's been sent back to lower courts for further review. President Biden says he would support an exception to the Senate's filibuster rule to allow a federal abortion law to pass by simple majority. New Hampshire Democratic Senator Jeanne Shaheen.
I'm not going to speculate on what the Senate's going to do with respect to the filibuster. I voted to end it, but it didn't pass, so we may take it up again or we may not.
In the meantime, a Florida judge just announcing he will temporarily block a 15-week abortion ban as the abortion fight shifts to the states. America is listening to Fox News.
Dell's Black Friday and July sale is here. Power productivity with a tech refresh, now with up to 45% off top-rated laptops like the XPS, along with our special deals on business desktops with Intel Core processors. Get big savings on the latest servers, storage, monitors, and more with free shipping and special financing with Dell Business Credit. Upgrade today by calling 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, beat the largest timeshare company in federal court and has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-857-5656. That's 800-857-5656.
Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Weather with Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Temperature's definitely a little bit warmer today, but the good news is only moderate humidity this afternoon. Lots of sunshine. I think we'll top out pretty close to 95 degrees. Tonight, clear skies 70. Friday, sunny, hot, humid. Summertime on Friday. Maybe a spot thunderstorm, but tough to find. 95 count on scattered showers and thunderstorms Saturday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
We're ready for a celebration across the nation. And on Monday night, we've got the music.
I'm a flag-waving, patriotic nephew of my Uncle
Tune in to 97.1 on July 4th from 8 to 10 for the American Soundtrack. Music to enhance your July 4th fireworks experience, hosted by Ryan Wiggins. Unabashedly grateful to be an American. The American Soundtrack. Music for fireworks. Monday night from 8 to 10. Turn it on and let freedom ring.
It's really simple. I really like the people at Air Comfort Service. And I'm not just talking about Corey Malone, who's a longtime friend and supporter of 97.1 FM, who's been a longtime supporter of me and of my show. Corey has been fantastic, but it just goes so far from the top into the entire company. Air Comfort Service has replaced the furnace in my home, and I know it's pretty awful to think about furnaces right now, but those air conditioners, they need to be working properly. And when ours wasn't working, I didn't consider going anywhere else. I didn't consider trying to get somebody who could come do it for the cheapest possible rate that anybody could possibly do, because you know what? I have a family that I need to keep in our comfort zone, and I wanted to go with the people who I trusted the most. That's simple. That's Air Comfort Service. And the people who came to my house, the guys I got to meet who serviced our house, top-notch people. If you have a need in your future for heating, air conditioning, or the like, I want you to reach out to them, 314-513-0091, 314-513-0091, aircomfortservice.com.
This is Mike Carter. It's ridiculous the United States had to use the military to airlift in baby formula from overseas, or that our car plants like GM and Wentzville and Toyota and Lincoln County have to slow production for microchips to come from China. I'm Mike Carter, Republican candidate for state Senate, and I'm ready to help bring manufacturing jobs home. We need to encourage critical products to be manufactured here in the United States and bring those jobs to Missouri. Bringing manufacturing back home reduces transportation costs, supply chain problems, and reduces the risk of China being able to use that dependence as a weapon. We also need to do a better job of promoting all our state has to offer. Let's help our businesses and industries to expand, make it easy for new business startups, and help our tremendous agricultural industry with better farm to market, roads, bridges, and inland port facilities. As your state senator, I'll launch a Make It in Missouri initiative because America can't continue to rely on China. Go to MikeCarter.com or MakeItInMissouri.com. Paid for by Team Mike Carter Treasurer.
This Independence Day, the Boston Pops Fireworks Spectacular is back in Boston. Presented by Bloomberg and Eaton Vance. Join conductor Keith Lockhart with special appearances by Shaka Khan, Javier Colon, and Heather Headley. Watch and listen Monday, July 4th, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on Bloomberg Television, Bloomberg Radio, Bloomberg.com, Bloomberg Quick Take, and the Bloomberg Business app.
When you discover a new favorite bottle of Cabernet or bourbon at Total Wine, you'll discover a whole lot more. So explore the wondrous selection and totally low prices at TotalWine.com, where you'll love what you find. Spirits not sold in Virginia and North Carolina. Drink responsibly, B21.
Members of Children's Miracle Network hospitals treat more than 10 million children each year. Your local member hospital ensures that every child receives the best possible care. Show your support at cmnhospitals.org because kids can't wait. Visit cmnhospitals.org.
There's a music station that fits your taste at Odyssey.com. Download the app for instant access to hundreds of music stations and listen live to 97.1 FM Talk. The Odyssey app. Download it or stream from 971talk.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
Right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Hey, it is the Annie Fry Show. I'm pretty confident that neither I am America's sweetheart, but I am John Hancock. I'm sitting in for Annie Fry. We've got Ryan Wiggins over here.
Hello. It's been quite a week.
I'm sure it has. It's for me as well. Brad Range running the board. How are you, Rangy?
Doing great. How about you?
I'm doing well. Before we get into these serious topics, and so much going on, and this is an action-packed show today for all of you. But I've got a very important question before we get into the heavy topics of the day.
Okay.
You guys grill?
Yeah.
Are you good?
Grill and smoke.
You smoke and grill.
Yeah.
Well,
but I'm a cheater. I've got a pellet smoker.
Well, pellet smoker. It's the only way to fly. All right. So here's my question. Let's say hypothetically, I'm grilling hot dogs.
Hypothetically.
And then you got your little tongs there, and you got a little plate you're going to put the hot dogs on. And hypothetically, I'm pulling the dogs off of the grill. I'm putting them on the plate, and I spin around to walk into the house, and 4 hot dogs fall onto the ground. One of them in the dirt, the other just on the patio. What does one do in that circumstance?
Ooh, how clean is your patio?
Well, it's a patio.
I mean, how clean is the hypothetical patio?
The hypothetical patio is, it's been around a while.
I think the one in the dirt's gone, right?
The one in the dirt is definitely gone.
I mean, we're no argument.
Now here's the thing. Here's my thoughts on this, right? You've got a fire right there.
Yeah.
And a fire is a great disinfectant.
Yeah.
So you just throw that hot dog back on the grill, provided there's not any gunk or anything on it. You throw it back on there for a few minutes and let it, cook off.
Even the one in the dirt?
No, not the one in the dirt, because you're not going to get the gunk off.
The one in the dirt is gone, is what you're telling me.
It's gone.
All right. Okay, so that's a hot dog. Now, hypothetically, let's say you're grilling bratwurst. Now, a little more expensive than a hot dog. It falls in the dirt. Any difference in quality?
Yeah,
if it's a brat.
There is a difference.
All right,
because the brat has a little more juice on it, a little stickier.
Yeah,
I would say it's even more down the line of being gone.
So you're throwing the brat out.
It's a bigger tragedy.
Yeah,
too,
it is a bigger tragedy.
Yeah,
you're right. You got to mourn that a little.
I might. I got you googly stuck in my head from Zoolander. Eulogize the hot dog.
Okay.
Yeah, the brat.
All right. So there's no that's now. Hypothetically, let's say you're grilling a strip steak, and hypothetical strip steak falls in the dirt. Now you've only got, hypothetically, yourself and your wife there, so there's only 2 steaks on that grill.
I think we're getting less hypothetical now.
If the steak falls in the dirt. Now, you've got three options here. You can throw the steak away.
Yeah.
You could, well, you got four options. You could throw the steak away. You could dust it off and say, this is my wife's. You could throw it back on the grill.
No, you can't, John.
Or you can throw it away. Those are your four choices.
I think, couldn't you try to wash it off?
Yeah.
Couldn't you stick it under a faucet?
A little water on the hypothetical.
Yeah, I mean, you have to re-cook it. You'd have to put it on the grill.
Yeah,
but I think in that circumstance, I might be tempted to try sticking it under the faucet for a second, washing it off, seeing how it looked. Just seeing. Not saying you definitely do it.
Oh, there's no way.
So
I'm throwing away that steak.
Here's the thing.
I kind of agree.
I'm with you guys on that. You got to at least try to save it. If you can't save it, well, I've got a dog. It's not going to waste. He doesn't mind.
The dog is not getting a steak. I mean, I love my dog.
He will if it's going in the trash. If the other decision, if that's the other decision.
that's not an option.
But
John, what happens if?
But that steak is mine.
Yeah, that's fair.
Since I'm responsible for grilling, the steak is mine. The one that hits the ground is mine.
So you're not going to give it to your wife?
No, I wouldn't do that.
Oh, I
guess
love
my wife.
It would take a bad person to do something like that.
What had you planned on before I brought up the washing it off
A really
option?
Bad person would do something like that.
You were going to keep the steak regardless. What were you going to do to it?
Well, I mean, some people would give it to their wife,
and that's it.
But I'm not saying that's a good thing to do.
Now you're putting it back on the plate and just serving it.
Well,
not doing anything to it.
No, you would never do that, Wiggy. No, you got to rehabilitate the steak in some fashion,
at least for looks.
Yeah. All right, I just wanted to deal with it.
Now I got to ask the question: how much of this was hypothetical, and what really happened?
Yeah, what really happened?
Well, if you put a lie detector on me or whatever, I could very possibly pass that thing. All right, so
okay.
He said anyway.
Well, there's a lot of news out there, boys, and
we got a big show. We got to talk about it.
We shouldn't have spent all that time on that.
Ketanji Brown Jackson is sworn in now as the 9th Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court, replacing the now retired Stephen Breyer. It doesn't change the makeup of the court at all. She will be a very liberal justice, along with Sotomayor and Elena Kagan, making up the three liberal sides of the court. A couple of interesting rulings that have come out. We're going to talk to Hans von Spakovsky about those in a little bit, kind of a mixed bag on those two rulings. Wiggins America is coming up later this hour. It's the reason I come here to the Annie Fry Show in the first place, is to get
that's why Annie comes to
the taste of that Wiggins America. And we've got a poll. Am I understanding on the YouTube? We've got a poll.
Yeah,
right?
log into the socials, the YouTube.
Yeah.
The poll today is which will have the largest impact on the 2022 midterms: southern border, Roe versus Wade, January 6th hearings, and the economy.
Well, I think I have my answer there, but I'm not going to spoil all of your enjoyment of the poll there on the YouTube. Is it also on the Twitchy thing?
No, it's just on YouTube.
It's just on the YouTube.
So you just have to go over to the YouTube chat and answer the poll question, and then tell us why you answered what you answered.
All right.
And
love to hear
from
from
Hannah will be back at the end of the show to report on that.
Just because you brought up that Ketanji Brown Jackson being sworn in. That was breaking news yesterday. We found out that Breyer was going to retire today, which he did. And now we have a new Supreme Court justice. I don't know that you know the answer to this. Maybe Hans would, but hypothetically,
yes.
Is this a for real hypothetical?
No, this is real. This is like, could this actually happen? Okay. I'm not saying that they would, but we've done a lot of things that we all went, oh, I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah.
So this is one of those. You got a Democrat Congress right now, barely Democrat Senate,
right?
Democrat president. Could they hypothetically, just like they did with Ketanji Brown Jackson, swear in the next Supreme Court justice now for whenever the next one retired?
No, because the justice would have to announce their retirement.
Is that constitutional though? Or is that that's the way we do things?
I think that's precedent, certainly. I don't know. It's certainly not. Well, I don't know if it's in the Constitution. We'll ask Hans that when
I was just curious.
I wouldn't think they would do that. One thing they may do, the president at the NATO meeting today, he opined on Roe v. Wade, And we've got some sound of that, and we're going to discuss it on the other side. Here's what President Biden had to say about abortion today.
To make them, but the first and foremost thing we should do is make it clear how outrageous this decision was and how much it impacts not just on a woman's right to choose, which is a critical piece, but on privacy generally. And so I'm going to be talking to the governors as to what actions they think I should be taking as well. And but the most important thing to be clear about is we have to change. I believe we have to codify Roe v. Wade in the law. And the way to do that is to make sure the Congress votes to do that. And if the filibuster gets in the way, it's like voting rights. It should be, we provide an exception for this, require an exception to the filibuster for this action to deal with the Supreme Court decision.
So that's President Biden today, basically raising the possibility of passing a pro-choice law through Congress and eliminating the filibuster to do so. This would be, in my opinion, a catastrophe for the country. First, I don't agree with the policy, but to do that with the filibuster rule, remember the Democrats have played this game before. When Harry Reid was the Senate majority leader, they got rid of the filibuster as it related to district court judges because Republicans were stopping a lot of district court appointees of Barack Obama through the filibuster. So the Democrats merely got rid of it. Well, what happened? When Republicans took the Senate, Mitch McConnell got rid of the filibuster for Supreme Court justices because of the precedent that Harry Reid had set. And that's what got us Neil Gorsuch and Neil Kavanaugh and Judge Coney Barrett. If they do that here with abortion, they're opening the door because in all likelihood, there will be a Republican majority after this next election. And you could see this whole abortion thing flipping and flopping around in Congress because there is no consensus. Bad idea. Ryan, your thoughts?
It's a terrible idea. It's not just they always call it a carve out. Well, just for this one.
Yeah.
Just for this one law, we'll carve it out because it's that important. He said in that clip, just that this one's that important. Oh, and voting rights.
Yeah.
So it would never be a carve out for just one thing because the next thing would always be just as important.
Yep.
You'd eliminate the filibuster entirely for everything.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. There's no such thing as a carve out for the filibuster. They're going to, if they remove it, it will be a carve out just for this one would be Roe v. Wade. And then whatever the next threat to democracy is, because we've heard them throwing that around, or whatever the most important issue is of the time. You know what? No. Work on something with people, get together and do what the Senate was designed to do and talk to each other. I'm so sick and tired of listening to these guys out here. It's like, we can't get anything done. It's because you're not negotiating. And whenever you negotiate, you're not going to win everything. You're going to take a little loss and they're going to take a little loss and you're going to come to a consensus that works best for everyone.
And if you ram Roe down the throats of the American people, you take a president that's already unpopular and I think make him even more so. But the bigger concern with Roe, that's a decision that's 49 years old. And the science that we now know as it relates to the birthing process and the pregnancy process is so much more evolved than it was at the time Roe. If they simply sit down and say, okay, here's what Roe v. Wade said, let's pass it, it's going to be really bad law at this point because it doesn't take into account the advances in medical science. Now, if they sit down and work on something that significantly curtails abortion and goes to a heartbeat level or something like that, well, the Democrats aren't going to do that.
No.
But if they did something like that, there is a possibility, I suppose, you could coddle together 60 votes to pass something like that would eliminate most abortions in the country and would probably be met with, public opinion would probably be supportive of something like it. Wouldn't be everything I'd want, but public opinion would be supportive of it. And here's the thing, if whatever they would ram through, the Supreme Court, even this Supreme Court, is going to uphold that law because it's a law that has been passed by Congress. And this is a real threat and a real concern, I think.
I don't, because I don't see Sinema or Manchin ever letting go of the filibuster. I just don't think that they'll do it. And if even one of them says no, the whole thing's dead. So I don't think that it'll actually happen. But just the fact that we're here now and this is a real discussion, it says a lot about the institution itself and where the president is at, where Democrats are at, that they're willing to say, because they're not thinking long term at all, John. You know, they're not thinking about the next term of even Congress, let alone the next term of a president. We would have such wild swings of policy back and forth.
So bad.
This country, you think it's divided now? I mean, it would get intense from here if they got rid of that filibuster.
Right on the money is Ryan Wiggins, the voice you hear. Brad Range along. Hannah will be with us later in the show. And joining us next when we come back after this very short commercial intermission, Hans von Spakovsky is going to join us and break down these Supreme Court rulings that just came down. That's next. It's the Annie Fry Show, 97.1 FM Talk.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
When we move, well, you already know. So just imagine.
97.1 is St. Louis's radio destination for information with perspective. It's where St. Louis and beyond comes to talk. Right here, right now. This is 97.1 FM Talk.
Stewie at Stewart's American Mortgage is waiting for you to reach out to him because he wants to compete and beat your locked-in rate. You need to make sure that you're locking in the lowest terms rate available. How do you do that? How do you know how to do that? Well, it's pretty simple. You connect with Stewie. When I had a mortgage refinance on my brain and I wanted to know the ins and the outs of it, I wanted to understand the bagel loan and why it is special to Stewart's American Mortgage. I reached out to Stewie, and when I was talking to him about it, he explained it in great detail, how those fees, they just don't exist. It's not as though he's hiding them, tucking them in, rolling them into a loan. The fees don't exist. So if you're looking to do a cash out refinance to take some of that equity in your home out and to pay down some high interest credit card debt or to pay off another high interest loan, I want you to reach out to Stewie. If you're looking to purchase a home, the bagel loan will work for a home purchase as well. Pay no fees that any other lender out there is going to charge you to go through this process. 314-324-4440, 314-324-4440. Google the bagel loan, NMLS number 226715.
This is Judge Mike Carter. As the judge of Wentzville and an attorney, I've had the honor of working with Lincoln County Prosecutor Mike Wood and St. Charles Prosecutor Tim Lomar. We all share a great respect for the rule of law and keeping our families and communities safe. As your next Republican state senator, I'll oppose those who want to defund and tie the hands of our police. I'll protect our Second Amendment rights and see that strong laws are in place to dissuade those who think they can come here to break into your car or home. I'm Mike Carter, and I want to earn your vote to be your Republican state senator. This is Judge Mike Carter, Republican candidate for the new 10th District State Senate seat. I believe strongly, as I know you do, in safeguarding our personal freedoms and securing our rights as guaranteed under the Constitution. I'll put my knowledge and experience to work for you, protecting those rights, opposing tax hikes, keeping families safe by opposing those who want to defund the police, making small businesses and family farms a priority, and safeguarding our Second Amendment. I'm Mike Carter, and I hope to earn your vote to be your next Republican state senator. Go to MikeCarter.com to learn more. Paid for by me, Mike Carter.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s. Why should saving for retirement be any different? I mean, they go back to college, learn new instruments, start skateboarding.
Whoa!
Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. With aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a 3-minute chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach from AARP. You'll get personalized recommendations based on your input that are easy to understand and work with your lifestyle. It's quick, easy, and free. Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back. Woohoo! Gnarly move, Dad.
Thanks, sweetie.
So wherever you are in your retirement savings journey, head to aceyourretirement.org and start chatting with Avo today. That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
Oh, Adam, you are so romantic. And I love the kitchen you found with all these great crumbs.
Yeah, baby, only the finest crumbs in the kitchen for my favorite aunt.
Did I just hear a car door slam?
Oh no, it's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They always kill the mood.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Response to Diamonds Direct's amazing finance offer has been off the charts, so we're extending it through this Saturday. You can go into the holiday weekend with some new bling and spread your payments over 5 years with 0 interest. Rings, earrings, bands, bracelets, colored gemstones. Pick any item, pay nothing down, and enjoy 5 years 0 interest financing. It's the best and smartest way to buy, but you can't wait any longer. This special offer ends this Saturday and will not be extended again. Only at Diamonds Direct. Details and more at diamondsdirect.com. Unapproved credit.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
SherryKillian.com.
And welcome back to the Andy Fry Show here on 97.1 FM Talk. John Hancock sitting in for Andy Fry. Pleased to be joined right now by our good friend Hans von Spakovsky. He's a senior legal fellow at the Heritage Foundation, former FEC commissioner, and a lawyer for the Department of Justice. Hans, how are you?
John, I'm doing just great. And if I could wish a happy July 4th to you and all your listeners.
Yeah, it's, happens to be, ironically, John Hancock's favorite holiday. So
no surprise there.
Yeah. So Ketanji Brown Jackson sworn in as the 9th Justice of the Supreme Court today. Don't expect a big change as she replaces Stephen Breyer. What do you think she's going to bring to the court?
I think she's going to bring radical ideology even worse than already exists, for example, with Sonia Sotomayor. And look, I'll give you just a quick example of this. Last week, the Supreme Court issued a decision 8-1 in a voter ID case out of North Carolina. They weren't ruling on the merits of the voter ID law that the state legislature put in, but what they were ruling on was the lower court saying that the state legislature couldn't intervene to help defend the constitutionality of their voter ID law, which they needed to do because the attorney general in the state is a Democrat who voted against voter ID. They didn't trust him to adequately defend the law. Well, 8-1, the court said, well, of course, the state legislature has the right to intervene and defend the case. The only justice who said, oh, no, the legislature should just trust the Democratic attorney general who voted against the bill was Sonia Sotomayor.
So even Kagan voted with the majority. Wow.
Exactly. And that's because if you look at her decision, Sonia Sotomayor is the most liberal member of the court today.
In the history of the court, right? You could argue in the history of the court.
No, I think that's absolutely right. Well, the newest justice may outdo her. And in fact, if she'd been on the court with that decision last week, it would have been 7-2. I'm virtually certain.
Yeah. So that's what she's going to bring. She's going to bring a historically leftist perspective to the court. It's not going to change. Right. It's not going to change the content, the count of the rulings for now, as long as this current court is in place. Two very interesting cases, kind of a mixed bag. But this EPA case has epic implications, and it was a 6-3 decision saying the EPA does not have the regulatory authority to go out and just promulgate these regulations. These unelected bureaucrats cannot do that, says the Supreme Court of the United States. That's a huge ruling.
No, it is, because look, what the Clean Air Act was intended to do, and the way Congress wrote it, was to make sure individual power plants are acting in the best way possible to be sure they're not engaging in pollution. But the new regs that the Biden administration put in basically had nothing to do with that. They were there to force the entire power industry to switch to so-called green or renewable sources of energy. The intent of it was to drive the coal industry out of business. Well, look, 60% of the power in this country is from coal fired power plants. I mean, California already has rolling blackouts all the time because they've gone down this terrible road. If this regulation had been in place and all these power companies went out of business with their coal-fired plant and were forced to switch to unreliable wind power and solar energy, we all across the country would be expecting blackouts constantly in the future. It was a horrible regulation, and thank goodness the court said hey, you EPA, you can't do it. If Congress wants to do that, they can pass a statute on it, but you EPA, you can't just suddenly create this out of nothing and force this.
Hans von Spakovsky is our guest. He's a senior legal fellow at the Heritage Foundation. Might this EPA ruling have broader implications to bureaucracy as a whole and the rulemaking that takes place in the federal government?
Yeah, because the legal doctrine that the court was looking at and what the Chief Justice was talking about, and he wrote the opinion, Chief Justice Roberts, was this legal doctrine called the major questions doctrine. And what it means is that when you've got a major issue of how far the government can go in regulating something, an administrative agency like the EPA can't just suddenly decide, oh, you know what, we're going to regulate that. That has to be done by Congress. Congress has to pass a statute authorizing regulating a particular area. And that was the issue here. And as you know, one of the biggest problems we got in this country is this administrative state. You know, all these agencies in Washington trying to regulate every aspect of our life from birth to death. And hopefully this will help restrict their ability to do that.
Well, hopefully it will, because that's been a decades-long evolving and growing problem, and it remains a problem. And one of the problems is that Congress passes these laws sometimes with giving blanket authority to bureaucrats, and especially when Democrats are in charge. But that's a huge problem. The other ruling of note, it was a 5-4 decision. Roberts and Kavanaugh voting with the 3 liberal justices, allowing the Biden administration to end the Trump policy that was the stay in Mexico policy. What was the legal basis of that?
It was they interpreted this particular statute differently. There's an immigration statute that says when somebody comes into the country illegally, the government has to detain them. They're given the option of returning them to the country they came from while we figure out in a hearing whether or not they're eligible to be in the country. That's why it was called the Remain in Mexico policy, because folks who were coming here from other countries and, for example, claiming asylum had to wait in Mexico while we determined it. What the lower courts had said was, look, the government's not detaining all these aliens the way they're required to under the law because they don't have the resources because so many folks are coming in. That means they have to exercise that alternative of telling these folks to remain in Mexico. What the majority of the court said, led by Chief Justice Roberts, was, no, that's discretionary. And the fact that the government is violating this other part of the statute says we have to detain everybody doesn't mean that the government can be forced to do the Remain in Mexico policy. So if the Biden administration wants to end it, they can. I think it's a bad decision. I think it's just going to add to the crisis we have at the border. Plus, it's going to be, as soon as people hear about this, the number of illegal crossers we have, which already is at record numbers, it's going to go way up.
Yeah, it's like a neon sign saying, come on in. And of course, the problem on the ground is they don't detain people, and people they get out into the country, never to be found again. And that's happening in record numbers as well. The border crisis, I don't know, unless you're paying attention to conservative media, but most people in this country have no idea how bad that problem is on our southern border for the drugs and just the sheer number of illegals coming into this country.
Yeah, although communities all along the border, they know about it. They know about it. You talk to ranchers who own property along it, and they'll tell you how dangerous it is now with illegal aliens constantly coming across, many of them led by drug cartel members who are the ones being paid to bring them across, who are all highly armed.
Yeah, it's a scary, scary thing and very, very disruptive to a peaceful country. And it doesn't look like it's going to end anytime soon. I was somewhat surprised, Hans, with Kavanaugh. Roberts doesn't surprise me because I think he tries to, throw a bone to the left. I mean, he's been doing that since the Obamacare case. So no surprise there. But Kavanaugh is emerging perhaps as maybe the new center of the court. Would you agree with that?
Well, he's not quite there yet. He and Roberts were both strong on that other decision today.
Right.
I think he just had a different interpretation of this particular immigration statute than did Alito, Gorsuch, Thomas, and them. Look, Thomas and Alito are the steadfast conservatives on the court these days, and they're usually joined by Gorsuch and Amy Coney Barrett, sometimes by Kavanaugh, sometimes by Chief Justice Roberts.
Yeah, and so are we through now? All the rulings that are going to come out now have come out for this last term. Is that right?
That is it. The court is
adjourned.
Done. They are shut down for the summer, and all the justices are probably either leaving town or heading elsewhere on vacation.
They come back in October. What kinds of cases are we looking at that the court is considering for the next term that might be consequential?
Well, they just, among the orders today, which didn't get noticed, was they actually accepted for certification for certiorari, so they're gonna review it. Actually, this case out of North Carolina, where the court, the state courts there, ruled against a redistricting plan that the legislature had put in place. But the reason this, they get redistricting cases all the time, but the reason this is important is because the issue in that case is how far can the courts go in changing what the legislature has done in an election issue. And remember, that was a huge issue in the 2020 election.
Especially in Pennsylvania, yeah.
Especially in Pennsylvania, and the court never really dealt with it. So it looks like they may deal with it in this case in October.
Before we let you go, the president he said he's going to ask Congress to codify Roe and, if needed, remove the filibuster. How horrific is this?
Well, removing the filibuster would be just terrible because it would allow basically Democrats, when they control the legislature, to ram through anything they want. We would be in horrible shape today if Harry Reid had gotten entirely rid of it 10 years ago. And if he says Roe versus Wade should be codified into federal law, well, first of all, they're going to have to say, well, what right does the federal government to have to rule in an area like this that prior to Roe versus Wade had always been handled by the states?
Yeah, that's one to keep an eye on. Hopefully, cooler heads will prevail. I'm thinking of Joe Manchin and perhaps Kristen Sinema to keep that from happening. But we'll keep an eye on it. So much insight as always, Hans. Thanks so much for your time. We'll catch you next time.
Sure thing. And like I said, have a nice July 4th.
You too, my friend. And when we return, it's time for Wiggins America. That's next. It's the Annie Fry Show, 97.1 FM Talk.
I hear the drums echoing tonight. Cheers only whispers of some quiet conversation.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Fry Show.
Guide me towards salvation. I stopped an old man along the way, hoping to find some old forgotten.
The Mark Reardon Show.
You're throwing down the gauntlet, aren't you?
I'm looking to fire Sam Page. I offered a challenge to debate and give all the money to charity. His response was, when hell freezes over.
Weekdays from 3 to 6 on 97.1 FM Talk.
MySlim180.com. MySlim180.com. I have been so excited to have partnered with MySlim180 to make sure that I could lose the weight that I've been looking to lose. 22 pounds. I want to lose a little bit more. I want to maybe top that 30 mark, but I'm going to do that when I get back from vacation because I'm enjoying myself right now. I've put myself in a position to enjoy the fun that goes along with vacation because of Slim180, because I am going to be present with my kids. I'm going to have the energy to keep up with them, and working with Slim180 is what got me there. Working with Trish and having her listen to me and what my goals were and helping me tailor a program to me that would help me lose weight fast and, yes, know how to keep it off, even in the context of being able to take a vacation in the middle I trusted Slim 180, and I'm so glad I did. 22 pounds down, over 22 inches down, and I feel great. I want that for you as well. Save 35% on their programs currently and mention the Annie Fry Show when you reach out to them. All of the details in their 6 locations on their website at myslim180.com.
Hi, Mark Goldstein here for Edwards Carpet. With prices on everything going up fast, now is the time to buy. Edwards Carpet's having our 4th of July sale now through July 10th, and you'll pay no tax. Get 50-ounce carpets guaranteed for 15 and 20 years, completely installed with pad for only $449 to $499 a square foot, and we move the furniture and pull up your old carpet free. 12 months interest-free financing, and you'll pay no tax. Edwards Carpet, Ellisville, De Pere, and St. Charles.
Come on down to Edwards Carpet Stores.
This is a paid announcement for Kevin C. Shepard for United States Senate. In 2018, the federal government spent $4.1 trillion, the states $1.5 trillion, and the counties $1.7 trillion, for a total of $7.3 trillion and 38% taxation. Almost $4 trillion was spent to do one thing: educate and keep children out of poverty with a gazillion taxes and programs. One simple tax to the Social Security system, which already exists, would provide $24,000 per child for 72 million children, for only $1.78 trillion, not $4 trillion, which is wheelbarrows of cash for the tax collectors and program profiteers. Make America great again by making American families great again. Discover how much your child is worth. The double lawyer political elitist class have. Vote for Kevin C. Shepard for senator for all Americans, the children of the Republican, Independent, and Democrat voters. Discover how much your child is really worth.
This ad paid for by Kevin C. Shepard for Missouri Senate.
This is Mark Cox from my trusted friend and realtor, Gloria Liu, with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. She's the agent I've been recommending for years now. Take my recommendation and call her, because if you're planning to sell your home in this crazy seller's market, you don't want to leave a single dollar on the table. You're going to love working with Gloria, and here's why. She'll guarantee to sell your home at your agreed-to price and time frame, or she'll buy it. Guaranteed in writing. Her secret, well, she already has the buyers. Thousands of them looking for homes in your price range in your neighborhood. Lawrence and Shelby sold their St. Louis home in just 3 days at $17,000 over asking price with multiple offers. That's when their previous agent had produced 0 results. They chose Gloria. You can too. Call her today at 314-325-6888. That's 314-325-6888. Or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
I'm Eric Robert with Stifel. The economy is always changing, but what does it mean for your investments? Join me and fellow Stifel financial advisor Bob Stockdale during On the Money, Saturday mornings from 11 until noon on 97.1 FM Talk. Stifel, member NYSE and SIPC.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. Get in your comfort zone with a new HVAC system and see if you qualify for 0% financing and $100 to $900 in utility rebates. For details and a free estimate, visit aircomfortservice.com.
If it's bumper to bumper or smooth sailing, Sue Thomas has you covered with dependable traffic. Driven by Ambassador Midwest Floor Company, the best way to deal with in-home traffic. Experience more at Ambassador Midwest Floor.
It's really been a while, but now I got back that smile.
The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
We're streaming live. We're streaming everywhere out there at the Annie Fry Show. You got the YouTube going on. I think we're on the Facebook. We got the Twitcher thing happening too. It's John Hancock in for Annie Fry. But now is everybody's favorite. So, you think about when you're a kid, it's Christmas Eve and you're just kind of hanging on there, trying to stay awake so you could hear the reindeer landing on the rooftop. That's kind of how I feel when we head into this next segment, Wiggins America.
Oh, Wiggins! This is exactly like that, but every weekday.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's amazing, guys.
It's taking the entirety of the year looking forward to Christmas.
Yes.
And packing it into every weekday at 12:45.
There are people out there that wait to pull into Sonic and order their hamburger so they can hear Wiggins America.
Or reindeer.
Or
on
Steak
the roof.
and Shake.
Or Steak and
If you
Shake.
can find one that's open.
That's right. Oh, you have not been listening to our Steak and Shake.
You don't know about
saga.
Steak and Shake, do you?
Oh man, we've been talking Steak and Shake lately.
Have we now?
But I wanted to mention too that on this weekend, I'm going to be all over the place this weekend, but it is not so that I can tell you all about me.
No.
It is for you.
Yeah.
It is for you, especially on July 4th night. We've got a special that I did. It's the second annual. So we did this last year too, and it was successful. We're doing it again. This year, we have blown out all the commercials. So starting at 8 through 10 o'clock, all music for your fireworks. It's patriotic music, a lot, just classic rock about America, some of the John Mellencamp type stuff. But then Johnny Cash. Ooh. We've got, like marches, famous,
Sousa marches,
Sousa stuff. I mean, stuff, anything that makes you think this is Americana. That's the stuff we play for 2 hours. And the first hour is a little bit more like party-ish because we haven't quite done the fireworks. During fireworks, which is usually right about 9 o'clock, is when we switch over to a lot more of the real, Battle Hymn for the Republic and that kind of stuff.
Nice.
And so I love this special every year. I love to hype it because it's one of my favorite things that I do all year. And that is coming up on Monday night.
And it's commercial free. So you can just crank that puppy up outside and as you're setting off your illegal bottle rockets there in the backyard.
Exactly.
You could be listening to Wiggy playing you the patriotic music.
It's a great time to be on a border state.
Nothing better.
We can come across into Missouri to get fireworks. You can come into Illinois to get your marijuana.
What a great combination that is.
Yeah. So that's Monday night. And then, of course, the Wiggins America 4th of July special, which will be this weekend, too. And then we'll be filling in for part of the Mark Cox Morning Show on Monday morning. So,
man, the time and a half you're getting.
I know, right? That's the whole point. And that's it. It really is about you, except when it's about me. So, but Wiggins America today. So the topic is one that we have tread many times on this show, but it's newsworthy because President Trump hasn't come out really and said this yet. It's all been, well, what if? What would this look like? What would that situation look like? And we talk about President Trump and Ron DeSantis quite a bit.
Right.
That duo, who's going to run, who's not? What does it look like if President Trump does run? What does it look like if he doesn't? What happens if DeSantis decides to take on Trump? All of those scenarios. In this one, according to The Hill, former President Trump isn't ruling out Florida Governor Ron DeSantis as a running mate in 2024. So that one sentence, which he made that statement on Newsmax, one of the hosts asked him about it, and he says, I get along with him, and I'm not ruling it out. So it says a lot of things. One, again, Trump continues to tout that he's going to run.
Yes.
Two, that we've all said, well, he said maybe he was going to pick a woman for a VP, but apparently, he's Donald Trump. He just says some things one day and he moves on the next day, the next day.
Yeah.
So apparently it is a possibility, at least in the mind of Donald Trump. Don't know what DeSantis thinks about that DeSantis could join the ticket for Trump in 2024. Now, we have thoughts about that, but I want to get yours first.
So my first thought is if DeSantis ends up running for president and Trump ends up running for president, there is no way by the time that primary process is over that Trump is going to have DeSantis on the ticket.
Right.
There's no way. The Veep at that point is going to be somebody that had not been in the field at all, as it was with Pence. So that's out the window. I don't see DeSantis saying, okay, I won't run if I can be your VP. I don't see that happening. And this is an unpopular opinion, but I would much rather our standard bearer in 24 be Ron DeSantis rather than Donald Trump. And I say that, half of the country out there wants to throw Donald Trump in prison, right? And he's got baggage. Now, millions of us like him. Millions of us like him. And millions of us would be very happy if he were president again. But I don't know that he could navigate. Now, he could probably beat Joe Biden if that's what ends up happening.
Man, a log could beat Joe Biden.
Yeah. But, I think DeSantis is more electable. And I don't think there's a nickel's worth of difference in terms of the style, the tone, and the policy. So for my money, I would rather have the most electable person leading that ticket because this is going to be such a critical election in 24. So that's my unpopular opinion. I'd rather see DeSantis at the top of that ticket.
Guess what? Your opinion is not unpopular. It is actually pretty well held. I, in fact, am one of the only ones in the room who say I'd rather see Trump run. Brad and Annie both say the same thing as you.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I would
And
rather
for the same reasons.
Yeah. I think that Donald Trump did a great job. He's a great president. He did everything that he was supposed to do. He did everything that I elected him to do. And he came in here but he's a brawler, and the time for brawling is over. Now we need a fighter, somebody who's a little more methodical, a little bit, more polished. And I think that man is Ron DeSantis.
Well, and DeSantis is not a milquetoast guy. I mean, he's not a wallflower.
No, he's a fighter.
He is a fighter. He'll take it to you. And if so, you got to look at Trump in a bunch of different ways. So there's the stylistic Trump, which a lot of people like and a lot of people hate. Then there's the policy Trump, which, if you're right of center, you're going to like the policy Trump. And, and then there's the foreign policy Trump, and he and I would divert there a little bit, but a lot of conservatives liked the Donald Trump approach to foreign policy. I think you get the same policy with DeSantis, and I think stylistically he will be more appealing without being a wimp. And I think that's important. I don't think the Republican Party is going to nominate a wimp anytime soon.
Just out of curiosity, do we know what DeSantis's foreign policy is?
No, we don't.
So he hasn't ever really indicated whether he would be a little bit more of an isolationist or a hawk or whatever.
Yeah, I would suspect he was not going to be a hawk, but he doesn't strike me as a guy that's going to go out of his way to meet with Kim Jong-un, for example.
Yeah.
So I don't. We just don't know. But based on his domestic agenda, seemingly domestic agenda, his willingness to confront the culture war, which I think is a very important component to the next Republican president, he seems to be, for my money, very, very solid.
Yeah, I get a bad rap on this show because I think people think I don't like DeSantis because I tend to, say, no, I'd rather see Trump. But I wouldn't mind seeing him run either. I really don't have a strong preference. I think just between the two. Here, I'll say this, and a lot of like the insider talk and stuff like that. So I'm going to run this by you because it's one of those insider things that I'm like, I can't really say. I can attribute it to somebody who's attributing it to somebody who's attributed it to somebody, but it's one of those things that it's a pollster that I really trust, who I think does a really good job. He says that every conversation he's had with people around the DeSantis team indicates that if Trump runs, DeSantis won't run. And I've heard that before. You probably have heard that before. But that the reason for that is that DeSantis says, and this is where it gets conjecture, that DeSantis says it's because it belongs to him. Like he actually, because of the way 2020 was ran, he deserves a second chance at this.
Buyer's remorse almost with Biden.
Oh, not quite buyer's remorse, but almost like, because of the way that election was run in the COVID era, the different ways that the laws were all bent, and all of the other things that we've talked about, or at least somewhat talked about, DeSantis is saying it's not my place to even step in. It's his if he wants it.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know, whether that's accurate or not. I do kind of know politicians, and anybody that thinks that they ought to be president, anybody who thinks they ought to be president, have a very high opinion of themselves.
Yes.
And so, if Ron DeSantis believes that he ought to be president and believes that he would do a good job, I have a hard time believing he would decline to run in 24.
My thoughts on that are this. I mean, you don't want to damage your brand by running against Donald Trump. And so if he wants to be president and he's patient, then he can sit one, 4-year cycle out and then go in whenever Donald Trump is done.
Yeah. But the thing about politics,
it's by now or never again.
Long-term planning never works. It never works. You go when you go. And, if you're planning out even 4 years hence, the dynamics change so much and the circumstances change so much that you just can't do it.
Yeah.
So if the window is open for you to run, and I don't care whether it's city council or state legislator or president of the United States, if that window is open to run, and you've got a desire to do it, my advice would always be go for it.
Well, that's why I wonder if he might entertain a VP nomination, because then it would really put him on the doorstep.
So you'd have to have that conversation. There's already been a little friction there between Trump and DeSantis. A little bit, not a ton, but there's been some. You'd have to have that conversation. It would not be unprecedented to announce your vice presidential candidate up front. That's been done before. But, things change throughout the course of an election cycle. DeSantis would have to have confidence that Donald Trump is going to honor that commitment. And Trump is going to have to be comfortable in making that commitment so early on. Because, if you're running for president, the time to really have made that final decision that I'm really into this thing, the time to do that is not too far after this November election coming up here. I mean, you've got to, by early 23, if you're running, you've got to be putting the team together, putting the finance team together. There's so much in running a national campaign that people have no idea. It's the most incredible effort, taking so many people to put together a national campaign. You can't get in late for president.
What do you think the chances are that he does run, percentage wise? What would you handicap?
So, I don't know Ron DeSantis. He's not somebody I've worked with.
I mean,
somebody
Trump.
I've met. Oh, Trump?
Are you sure he's going to run?
I'm 75% sure he's going to run.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm up there too. I think probably 80, 90%.
I wasn't
sure.
a year ago.
Yeah.
I didn't think he would run, but as things have gone on, yeah, it looks that way. Well, Wiggins America, we have enjoyed it. Hey, our good friend Cassidy Hutchinson's testimony may be blowing up. We'll talk about that next hour on the Annie Fry Show.
2.0 remodeled.
Attention men, lately you've been hearing a lot about wave therapy as a new and revolutionary cure for erectile dysfunction. But did you know the St. Louis Men's Clinic has provided wave therapy since 2017? Wave therapy is a non-invasive, pain-free treatment for ED, but it's not new, nor does it cure ED. In fact, if you've had prostate cancer, wave therapy is not a solution. So before spending too much for a treatment that may not work, call the experienced and knowledgeable staff at the St. Louis Men's Clinic. Their doctors will discuss the available treatment options and develop a customized plan just for you. Get the facts on wave therapy and the treatments for erectile dysfunction. Call the St. Louis Men's Clinic today and schedule a $25 wave therapy session and private consultation. Yeah, that's $25. Call the St. Louis Men's Clinic at 314-828-2600 or visit stlmensclinic.com. Locally owned and operated and a proud partner of the St. Louis Cardinals.
I'm Mike Carter. There are a lot of politicians in Washington who will never get it about the hardworking people of Missouri. That we love our country and our flag, family, faith, and freedom are worth preserving. Those who come to our country should do so legally. Parents have a voice in their children's education. Police officers are the good guys. And we're not giving up our guns. If that offends the media, too bad. I'm Judge Mike Carter, Republican candidate for state senator in the 10th District. Go to MikeCarter.com to learn more. This is Judge Mike Carter. I'm running for Senate here in Lincoln and St. Charles County. What you may not know is I run the Cowboy Judge Show on ABC on the weekends. You can actually check out all the episodes at MikeCarter.com, and you might see Mike Wood, Lincoln County prosecutor, Tim Lomar, St. Charles County prosecutor. We actually talk a little bit about Pam Hupp and the things that they have to do on a regular basis to keep us safe in our communities in Lincoln and St. Charles County. The Cowboy Judge Show on ABC on the weekends. Go to MikeCarter.com and check it out. Paid for by me, Mike Carter.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
KFTK FM Florissant, driven by the Bomarito Automotive Group, 97.1 FM Talk.
And audit.
state constitutional questions. But in Kentucky, abortion can
representing the two abortion clinics in the state argued that the right to self-determination in Kentucky's constitution protects a woman's right to choose, despite the U.S. Supreme Court's ruling which overturned Roe. Kentucky's attorney general said there is no right in the state's constitution to an abortion. Kentucky has two trigger laws, one which bans nearly all abortions and one which bans them after a heartbeat is detected. Judges have stopped trigger laws from temporarily taking effect in Texas, Louisiana, and Utah as well.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. President Biden wants Roe versus Wade to become federal law and now says he would support an exception to the Senate's filibuster rule to help make it happen.
We've been a leader in the world in terms of personal rights and privacy rights. And it is a mistake, in my view, for the Supreme Court to do what it did.
The president calling the court's actions outrageous and destabilizing. His nominee making history today.
I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
She's now Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, the first Black woman to serve on the nation's highest court. That was just after the final two rulings of the term, one upholding the president's decision to end a remain in Mexico policy for asylum seekers. The other ruling limits the EPA's power under the Clean Air Act to regulate greenhouse gas emissions from power plants and suggests Congress would need to act to change that. President Biden just out with a statement calling that, quote, another devastating decision that aims to take our country backwards. America is listening to Fox News.
Dell's Black Friday and July sale is here. Power productivity with a tech refresh, now with up to 45% off top-rated laptops like the XPS, along with our special deals on business desktops with Intel Core processors. Get big savings on the latest servers, storage, monitors, and more with free shipping and special financing with Dell Business Credit. Upgrade today by calling 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, beat the largest timeshare company in federal court and has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-857-5656. That's 800-857-5656.
Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Weather with Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Temperature's definitely a little bit warmer today, but the good news is only moderate humidity this afternoon. Lots of sunshine. I think we'll top out pretty close to 95 degrees. Tonight, clear skies 70. Friday, sunny, hot, humid. Summertime on Friday. Maybe a spot thunderstorm, but tough to find. 95 count on scattered showers and thunderstorms Saturday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
The candidates are set in Illinois.
We know what the mission is and what our job is, and that's to make sure we take the majority.
Next up, the Missouri primary on August 2nd.
And we're going to continue to outwork our opponent.
97.1 is your place for full Decision 2022 coverage.
Government, you need to get out of the way and return the power to the people.
Decision 2022 is sponsored by Air Comfort Service and TR Hughes Homes. Right here, right now on 97.1 FM Talk.
The uh-ohs are out there. Scratches, dents, unexpected natural events. But with Mako and their magic, your car is no longer tragic. So when life throws you uh-ohs, just say,
better get Mako.
And go to Mako.com to book your appointment today.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed. Oh, yeah? Yeah, he's starting with the woots. Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
And now an important message from music superstar Willie Nelson.
I've been fighting for legalization of the one thing that can bring comfort to millions. And of course, I'm talking about Skechers.
Can we stop the commercial? Willie, I don't think Skechers are illegal anywhere.
Really? But they feel so good.
No, you can wear them anywhere, Willie.
Well, pass the Skechers.
Skechers comfort feels so good because Skechers is the comfort technology company and has all the fits and features you need for ultimate comfort. Find Skechers at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
You wouldn't trust a butcher to babysit your pet pig. You wouldn't trust a lumberjack to repair your antiques. or a professional wrestler to be your massage therapist. So why would you trust anyone but AMCO to fix your car? For over 50 years, we've been the trusted experts in transmission repair.
AMCO offers easy payment plan options for most any credit situation, so you can fix it fast and pay it off slow at AMCO.
AAMCO.
Rhino Shield is far superior to even the best traditional exterior house paint. Rhino Shield is 8 to 10 times thicker than paint and comes with a 25-year transferable warranty. Rhino Shield is the only ceramic coating company that has been chosen by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where every episode is concentrated on unpainted brick, bonds and seals to stucco, wood, hardy, block, color lock, masonite, and more. No better product for those steel aluminum-sided homes that have become, chalky and tired looking. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. After 15 years, we've got a great reputation and a superior product. As long as it's affordable, why wouldn't you do it? Before you make the costly mistake of painting with traditional paint, you'd be best served to call Rhino Shield today. We are the experts and our evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. Tell them, ladies.
No paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Mark Cox here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call Thomas Helbig with the Retirement Advisory Group at 314-993-9494. He'll show you how to participate in the market gains without ever losing a penny. Thomas is the official financial advisor of the Mark Cox Morning Show.
Tony La Russa here. Has your loss of energy and weight gain thrown you a curveball in your relationship? If so, go see my friends over at Victory Men's Health. Discreet first-class professionals will help you hit those curves out of the park. VictoryMen'sHealth.com. That's VictoryMen'sHealth.com.
Want to listen to 97.1 outside the listening area? There's an app for that. Download the Odyssey app, and one tap will turn the station on. The Odyssey app for 97.1 FM Talk.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what you're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
Right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
It is the Annie Fry Show. John Hancock sitting in for Annie Fry alongside Ryan Wiggy Wiggins is with us, and Brad Range behind the board working all the controls flawlessly. Oh,
now I'm jinxed.
Yeah, something will go wrong, but I'll be okay. We'll be all right. We'll get through it. I wanted to talk in this first segment. Later on this hour, Jane Dueker is going to join us. She's running for St. Louis County Executive, and
oh man,
they've had quite the quite the situation there. And then we're going to break down this. John Wood is running as an independent for the United States Senate in Missouri. Was on with our own Mark Cox this morning. Got a couple of cuts from that interview, and we're going to talk about the politics of an independent candidate running for the United States Senate in Missouri and what that might portend for the outcome in November. But I don't know, have you guys followed much of these January 6th hearings?
All of the hearings, I would say just enough to know what's going on so that we can talk about them.
Mm-hmm.
But they're so, you have a prosecution and no defense.
Yeah.
So you're just stepping into one side.
Now, so do you lay all of the blame at the feet of Nancy Pelosi for that?
I think so. I mean, she's the one that picked the people who'd be on it, and she picked, 2 Republicans who were not Republicans so that she could have a one-sided trial.
Yeah, I happen to, and I kind of agree with Donald Trump on this. I think Kevin McCarthy dropped the ball here.
Okay.
He submitted names, and she didn't want, I think it was Matt Gaetz and Jim Jordan on the committee. And so at that point, which that in itself is unprecedented because parties usually get to pick their committee for these special committees. Here's our Republicans. This is who we want on the committee. And she said no to those 2 individuals. And so McCarthy's choice at that point was to say, okay, fine, wash your hands of the whole thing, or submit another list of names. And I suspect in hindsight, that he would have done better to submit another slate of names and had at least some Republican presence on that committee that was going to push back on these witnesses, because you're right, there's been none of that to this point.
So how did Cheney and Kinzinger end up there?
They volunteered to go on, basically. And
couldn't McCarthy have no say in that?
No.
Okay.
And she's basically been ostracized from the caucus anyway.
Yeah.
And Kinzinger's not running again. I mean, if you look at the polling data in Wyoming, I don't think Liz Cheney's going to be renominated.
Both of their political careers are either done or they're going to switch parties or something.
Right. Yeah. And Cheney's not going to switch parties.
She's not going to.
Yeah, no. But anyway, the big bombshell Tuesday hearing with this Cassidy Hutchinson, who was Mark Meadows' senior aide, I guess. She's senior aide. She's 25 years old.
Yeah, she started when she was, 19?
But, that's not unusual in politics. So many of the folks that are running the government are in their 20s. I mean, you'd be shocked walking through congressional offices or even in the White House. You go over to the political office in the White House, as I used to do back in the day, and a lot of the folks in there are 24, 25, 26 years old. It's just the kind of the way it works. And that's certainly true of campaigns. The people that are running the guy that ran Eric Greitens' gubernatorial campaign was, I think, 21 years old in Missouri back in 2016. Anyway, lots of hoopla over this testimony of Cassidy Hutchinson, the former aide to Mark Meadows. And, I watched most of that hearing. Didn't get to see all of it, but I saw most of it. And then I saw the recaps of it on the news. And a lot of the testimony she gave was very mercurial and, I will admit, very concerning to me. But now things aren't always what they seem.
Give it 24 hours.
Yeah.
Wait a day.
And one of the problems, of course, of not having any kind of contravening voices on that committee is that nobody was pushing back in real time while that testimony was going. How do you know that this was said? What evidence do you have that occurred? Will anybody else corroborate what you're saying? Those are the kinds of questions a Republican member of the committee would have asked. And those questions weren't asked. And more troubling to me is it's pretty clear that the committee itself didn't vet the witness. And if you're gonna make bombshell announcement, this is going to be an amazing testimony, if you're going to do that and have that kind of pomp and circumstances around it, you darn well better check the facts. Britt Hume weighed in on this on Fox News. We have a cut of Britt Hume.
However, what it did do, now that the testimony is being challenged, is it shows why it's not a good idea to put witnesses on that without any cross-examination or any viewpoints expressed from the other side of the issue when there is another side, and certainly it is in this case. This is what the committee has decided it will do. It'll put on a TV production, which is what it has done, and it seems to have tripped itself up on that because the testimony is now being disputed openly by the Secret Service.
Well, that was early on. So I think we're now up to strike three, if I'm following this accurately. So strike one, she made the claim in her testimony that the president had gotten into the SUV after his speech at the Ellipse and wanted to go to the Capitol. I believe that's true. I think the Secret Service will confirm that he was angry that they weren't taking him there. But she recounted a story that she heard from a fellow executive office person that who wasn't there either, but who said that the Secret Service agent reported that when he got into the SUV, the president grabbed for the steering wheel and then tried to grab the Secret Service agent around the neck, which was, that's outrageous testimony. And if it was true, it would be a sign that Donald Trump was not well that day. And I think a lot of gasps were in the air when she was giving that testimony. Well, came out that the Secret Service agent is willing to go under oath and testify that never happened. Okay. So strike one, okay, maybe got it wrong. Maybe misheard something.
I don't know. To me, it seems like that's that would be bombshell testimony, but only you would only take that at face value, right? If you were already believing that something like that was happening or he was capable of that. Doesn't that, for you, Ryan, doesn't that make you if you heard somebody say, well, Donald Trump grabbed the Secret Service agent by the throat, wouldn't you go, I'm gonna wait and hear more information.
I mean,
on
at this point, I'm awaiting to hear more every time anything is
Well,
said.
I mean, we're in Missouri; it's the show me state,
Right.
but you know,
So strike one. You still got 2 strikes out there. A lot of people hit home runs after getting a strike one. Paul Goldschmidt's been doing it all year. Well, strike 2 came along. And there was this handwritten note that they put up on the screen so you could see the handwriting. It's on the office of Chief of Staff, little note card there. And Cassidy Hutchinson recounts, yes, I wrote the note. Mark dictated the note to me, and I wrote the note down, and they took it to the president and so forth. So, okay. And then the word illegal was scratched out, cue the ominous music. Well, turns out that the note was actually written by Eric Hirschman, who was a deputy in the counsel's office of the White House. He said, wait a minute, that's my handwriting.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That's my handwriting.
I saw this when I forgot about it.
I wrote the note. And now here she is. She's looking at the note on the screen in front of her.
Yes.
And said, I wrote that note. Now, I don't have the greatest handwriting in the world, but I can recognize my handwriting.
Heck
I mean,
yeah.
if you show me a note that I didn't write, I will say, I didn't write that. Or if it's a note I wrote, I would say, oh, yes, that's my handwriting. Look how florid it is.
Yeah.
How lovely. And look, it says John Hancock under there. But so strike 2, she's
And that one's bad.
to write a note that she didn't write when she had it on the screen, a big screen, by the way. Very nice screens here in Congress. Okay, strike 2. Well, now you're in the hole. No balls and 2 strikes. So you're thinking, well, now because a lot of her testimony is quite damning. I mean, it really was quite damning. I mean, she testified that the president was aware there were weapons in the crowd, that the president wanted to remove the magnetometer so that those folks that were armed could come into the ellipse and be in the proximity to the hearing. I mean, that's damning testimony. But is it true? That's the question. Because we found out today that she recounted a conversation she had the morning of January 6th. With Pat Cipollone, the White House counsel, the chief counsel in the White House for the president. And I can't remember exactly the details of that conversation, but it was bad. I think it had to do with the president's temper or something or whatever. And she testified that, it was a conversation she had. Turns out Pat Cipollone was not in the White House at that time. Could not have been standing in the hallway having a conversation with Cassidy Hutchinson while he was not physically present in the White House. That's, let's see, that's strike 1. We got strike. That would be, Wiggy, that would be strike 3.
I think she might be out.
Yeah. I mean, now you begin to, well, obviously, any sane person would begin to question everything that she testified to. I mean, if
you have to, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the first story that, over time, it was a year and a half ago, over time, maybe you're building that up in your head and adding things to it. People do that.
Yep.
I'm not saying that makes a good witness.
No, I've done it myself.
I mean, yeah, I think we've heard those stories. Maybe today.
Well, you just never know.
And then, details of conversations you had, maybe, oh, shoot, maybe that wasn't that day.
Right.
That stuff, it happens. The looking at a piece of paper and going, yep, I wrote that. That is a lie.
Yeah.
There's no getting around that.
I mean, that one's not explicable to me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Have you heard the story about Don Jr. and Trump both said that after January 20th, once he wasn't president anymore, that Cassidy Hutchinson was out of a job and was contacting Mar-a-Lago. She was so concerned about his behavior on January 6th that she continued to talk to them afterwards, looking for a job at Mar-a-Lago for quite a while. They told her no, because we don't have jobs anymore. I mean, I don't think she was looking to be a maitre d'. She was looking for like a job in whatever the administration.
Although that wouldn't be a bad gig.
I'm sure you make pretty good money.
Being the maitre d' there, your tips are probably pretty good.
But she was looking for like a administrative job or something. And they said, well, we don't have anything. The administration technically right now is over.
What I can't understand, because this is a young person, she's I think 26 now. And when you're 20, I mean, your career is just beginning. And if she's done this in such a way that it's going to derail, who's going to hire her?
Oh, she's cashed in her chips for Democrats now.
Yeah, has she?
I mean, that's what you have to do.
I guess.
I mean, she's banking on, okay, well, now I've got a lot of publicity. I'm interested in politics. Maybe I could be some sort of Democrat aide or
the problem with
David Hogg type person.
It's not just Don Jr. There's an article from Bloomberg. This is back when Donald Trump was first considering moving to Mar-a-Lago. So Bloomberg wrote an article, and this is just an excerpt from it. It says Trump aides who may work for him after the White House include Nick Luna, the director of the Oval Office operations and Trump's body man, Molly Michael, a deputy assistant to Trump, and Cassidy Hutchinson, an aide to Chief of Staff Mark Meadows.
Mm-hmm. So she was apparently so bothered by his behavior that she continued to seek employment from him.
There's another great case in point as to why there should have been other Republicans on that committee, because that would have been asked in real time, and she would have had to give an account for, I mean, that's my fundamental problem with this hearings. And look, January 6th was a black mark on this country. Make no mistake. What happened in that building on that day was horrific. People died. It was horrific. So I'm all for getting to the bottom of what happened and how. This just ain't the way to do it. And clearly it's not working. And she's probably blown up, because an aide to a member of Congress is a confidant. It's somebody you've got to be able to trust. It's somebody you've got to be able to have conversations with that aren't going to be repeated. And it's certainly somebody that needs to be a truth teller. I think she's done her career a lot of harm here.
Maybe.
Such a young person. Well, speaking of harming your career, apparently the chief of staff to St. Louis County Executive Sam Page has decided that he's going to resign his position. And perhaps coincidentally, perhaps not, a sex tape has been made public.
Oh, boy.
Some official in St. Louis County was engaged in something or other, and apparently filming it at the same time with their name badge on. Well,
yep.
Our next guest may be able to elucidate some on that circumstance. It's Jane Dueker, candidate for St. Louis County Executive. She joins us next. It's the Annie Fry Show, 97.1 FM Talk.
The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe. Decision 2022 is happening. Are you ready to decide? The primary candidates are here because they want to talk to you. Decision 2022. Coverage sponsored by Air Comfort Service and TRQ's Homes.
Michael's Flooring Outlet online at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com. When you reach out to Michael's Flooring Outlet for your flooring needs inside your home, inside your place of business, if you work for a nonprofit or if you volunteer at a community organization or you work for your church or help with your church and they have a flooring need, I want you to reach out to Michael's Flooring Outlet to find out what the solution is for you. When you talk to Michael's Flooring Outlet and you tell them what you're looking for, maybe that carpeting, carpet squares, maybe you're looking for something that resembles hardwood, they're going to be able to put you in touch with exactly the product that's going to meet those needs. They have wonderful Smart Strand Mohawk silk carpeting, which helps you make sure that you have the highest quality of product, the most beautiful carpeting in your home or in your place of business. It's products like this that when you go to Michael's Flooring Outlet, you're going to be assured that you get the best recommendation from the best sales staff in the business and great value. They have 3 locations that you can check out in St. Charles County, West County, and Darien Prairie. Online right now at igotfloored.com.
If you filed a tax extension in April, don't wait until it's too late to handle your tax issues. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Drury Law Firm. Every year, thousands of Missourians file extensions when their taxes are due in April. But what people don't know is the extension only moves your deadline to file your return, not to pay your taxes. So if you didn't pay anything back in April, you could now owe taxes plus interest plus penalties. You think you bought yourself time, but really you've just added to the total bill. If this sounds like you, call the Lance Drury Law Firm today. I am a local tax attorney with an A+ BBB rating, and I will meet with you right away to help handle your tax problems quickly. The deadline to file your return after an extension has already passed, so call the Lance Drury Law Firm now before it's too late. Remember, if you have IRS issues, you have legal issues. Call Attorney Lance Drury, 314-260-6120, or go to Lance, DRURY law.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
What's your favorite four-letter word? Chances are you've said it more than a few times dealing with this crazy world we live in. But at Compass Retirement Solutions, our four-letter word of choice is hope. Hope for a better tomorrow. And hope that your retirement plans don't take a back seat. You've watched inflation soar. And maybe your retirement future feels a little uncertain right now. But all hope is not lost. Find out exactly how much risk you're still taking with your investments. Find out how you may be able to save big on taxes. And find out how having a written retirement plan just might give you the hope you've been looking for. Call today to set up a meeting. 314-373-1598. That's 314-373-1598. Compass Retirement Solutions. 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services but does not provide tax advice. Investments and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory firm in Missouri and Illinois. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Mark Cox here. In life, there are good surprises and bad surprises. I caught one of the bad surprises the other day after we locked our keys in our truck while on vacation. The good news is I have a CarShield protection plan. Every protection plan includes coast-to-coast roadside assistance at no extra cost. One phone call, and before long, I was back in the truck and we were on our way. That's fantastic. You're going to love CarShield. They offer protection plans for around $100 a month that cover more parts than ever before. When you need a repair, you don't have to deal with the paperwork or the headaches. All you have to do is choose the mechanic to do the work. CarShield administrators handle the rest. Now, CarShield helps make the surprise of your car breaking down easier to handle. Get coverage like I did. Go to carshield.com/Cox or call 800-391-8888 to save 10% on your plan. That's carshield.com/Cox.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Fry Show.
Well, it's neither cold outside nor is it a cloudy day. It's a bright, sunshiny day for most of us, but there may be someone who used to be in St. Louis County government for whom today is not so bright and shiny. Joining us to talk about it is a candidate and a friend of the show, a candidate for St. Louis County Executive, Jane Dueker. She's a local attorney and media and government affairs person. Jane, welcome to 97.1.
How you doing, John?
Great. So help me out. I just know what I've read in the paper. So we know two things to be true. Don't know for sure if they're related, but we know that the chief of staff to St. Louis County Executive Sam Page, a fellow by the name of what's his name? Cal Harris.
Cal Harris. He's been there less than 6 months.
Yeah, and he has resigned his position as of, I guess, effective immediately. We know that. And we also know that County Councilman Mark Harder has turned over to the police a videotape of a sex act taking place in a St. Louis County office that was videotaped and somehow distributed. Do we know that is all or part of Mr.
Make it up.
Do we know if that is all or part of Mr. Harris that's being exhibited in this videotape?
Well, yeah, it was actually the Post-Dispatch was able to confirm from another source that it in fact was Mr. Harris who was filming himself. He was filming himself.
It's like when you have the coin toss at the Super Bowl. Yeah. You win the coin toss and you elect to receive. And so he had basically elected to receive here.
Correct. Thank you, John. I appreciate that.
Yeah. And he's filming. He's filming himself.
Well, and this is the salacious part of it is funny, but he filmed a woman performing a sex act, and he disseminated the video. And what people may not realize is that after the scandal involving former Governor Greitens, the legislature enacted Greitens Law, which actually makes disseminating private sexual images a D felony. So, I mean, it's a serious matter.
Wow.
So as Councilman Harder indicated, upon receiving the video, he thought that there could be a crime, and he promptly reported it, and the Highway Patrol is investigating the issue. So, I mean, it's one thing, the whole doing it in your office, a door away from the county executive. I've been a chief of staff. I can't even fathom. I just can't. And I think that, so now we have a woman who may or may not, I mean, the whole issue is going to be, did she consent to the filming? Did she consent to the dissemination? I don't know. I mean, I don't know many women that would consent to the dissemination of a sex tape to an elected official. So I mean, this is, you know, we've got Eric Greitens behavior going on at the very top of county government. It's getting, every day it's something with county government. It's broken fundamentally from top to bottom. There isn't an area of county government that's functioning properly. It's embarrassing. It's mind-boggling. And not a word from Sam Page about this. I mean, he's out there promoting that he's pro-woman, and we've not heard a sound about how revolting this is. A guy who tapes a woman and then disseminates it, I mean, we all know that's disgusting behavior.
It's sick. Unbelievable.
It's sick.
And there have been other sexual harassment issues in county government, too, if memory serves.
Well, his hand-picked auditor was a serial sexual harasser. He was there we called him the frauditor, because he was there for 5 years, never completed an audit, but was a sexual harasser. He did a secret settlement of sexual harassment claims against County Councilman Ernie Trachis. I mean, it's just over and over again. This is a pattern. And, you know, now the county, I mean, more lawsuits. We're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars a month on outside counsel to defend all the discrimination suits coming out of county government. And, you know, and then we have indictments. And by the way, Tony Weaver, there were complaints about sexual harassment with him before the indictment.
And remind our listeners who Tony Weaver is.
He was the fellow that was indicted for running a kickback scheme out of the county jail, trying to get fraudulently trying to get small business relief funds. I mean, he was a hand-picked, you know, political appointee, had no experience whatsoever, and was basically running the county jail, but was running a kickback scheme out of the county jail. There were complaints about him for 2 years that went directly, because he's a political appointee. The personnel department doesn't handle the complaints. They were all forwarded directly to the county executive and were ignored for 2 years. Yeah. And people, you know, and then he says, how could this have happened? You had 2 years of complaints about this guy, and then he turns out to be, you know, indicted by the feds. So it's just, this man either has absolutely no idea what's going on in his own government, or he knows and is just gaslighting the public that, it has nothing to do with me.
Well, we've kind of had a bad run in St. Louis County. The prior county executive was indicted and went to jail. Yep. And now you've got
the one before then.
You've got these burgeoning indictments now coming out of Sam Page's purview, and now we've got the sex scandal in the chief of staff. Oh, by the way, where did this Cal Harris come from? I'd never heard of him before.
I mean, you know, if you go to the LinkedIn page, I mean, he's had probably 14 or 15 jobs, and since, you know, in the last decade, little over a decade. So he's worked a lot of places. He was, I think, a spokesman for Baltimore city government. He's worked for various campaigns. He's done numerous things. But to be honest, I mean, you know, John, you've been around for a lot of years too, and you've seen the resumes. Yeah, you've seen the resumes of people at the top of government. And I mean, there's nothing, in my opinion, in that bio that would indicate that this man was capable of running, you know, more than $1 billion budget for 1 million residents.
Well, he obviously had his hands full in that job. And so let me ask you this. Are you going to be able to confront Sam Page with some of these revelations at your debate?
I hope so. Well, here's the thing. Well, yeah, that's funny you mention that, because I did challenge him to a debate for charity. And his spokesperson said, when does hell freeze over? That was his response to debating the important issues facing St. Louis County. Now, for a 2-year term, to fill out the remainder of Steve Stanger's term, he debated, but he won't debate me. And because he knows I know more about his government than he does.
You know what I would say to that? I would say, well, hell will freeze over when the chief of staff to the county executive films a sex act in his office and distributes it. That's when hell will freeze over.
Right.
So the guy's he's refusing to debate you.
Absolutely refusing to debate. And he won't now. Now he planned it that they would be doing upgrades to the council chamber from now until the election, so that there won't even be in-person council meetings anymore.
Oh, that's
so that he doesn't have to listen to voters. He's not said a word. I mean, he sends out Doug Moore or Richard Callow to speak, but he won't comment on anything. There's another lawsuit now of horrible things going on over at the dog shelter. The jail is a disaster. I mean, we're just talking in the last 10 days, this has all happened. A young woman did an interview with Channel 5 because she was sexually harassed. She was a lifeguard at the park, at one of the county parks, and was sexually harassed by someone like 3 times her age.
Oof.
I mean, this is what has come out in the last 10 days on Sam Page's administration.
So your election
it's exhausting.
Your election is a little more than 4 weeks away. It's August the 2nd.
Yeah.
Is a Democratic primary election between Jane Dueker and Sam Page. How is your campaign coming together with resources and so forth?
Oh, it's going great. I mean, we'll be filing reports. We had a phenomenal quarter, and so everyone will see. I mean, yeah, he's going to be panicked. I would say, and I'm reaching out to voters all over the county, and they're disgusted. It doesn't matter, north, south, central, west. People, men, women, older people, younger people. They're all exhausted from all of the mess that they see, all the discord. He's the divider in chief. He takes things that are nonpartisan and makes them partisan. And, and I tell my Republican friends, look, I think all of this stuff should be nonpartisan because it is keeping people safe. We've had crime double. Violent crime in Sales County has doubled in the last 10 years. That's nonpartisan. We have to fix crime. No one's coming to do business here. We can't grow. We can't thrive if we don't get crime under control. And so I tell my Republican friends, pull the Democratic ballot, guys, do. Because if you want say in your local government, it's the Democratic primary that's going to decide this. He only had 38% of Democrats 2 years ago. But because there were 4 people in the race, he got through. So I waited till the last day of filing to make sure that I was the only other one in the race. So
you are
a fast campaign, but I'm taking it to him for sure.
Well, I never had a doubt about that. It seems like your biggest challenge might be figuring out what to narrow the focus down because there's so much wrong and broken in government.
Right. And when you talk to voters, they all sense it. It's because they see that it's almost fatigue because all they hear is negative stuff and it's embarrassing. And so people sense that everything is fundamentally broken and but it is nice because when they see that there's hope and the possibility that someone with competence and integrity can run the county.
Well, if you win this office, Jane Dueker, let me strongly suggest that you have that chief of staff's office disinfected and
oh my God. Yeah. I mean, and watch for all other cameras. I mean, seriously, I can't even fathom that this is going on, but it never ceases to
You can't
amaze
make
me.
this stuff up, folks. It's happening right under our eyes here in county government in St. Louis County. Jane Dueker has been our guest. Good luck with your election, Jane, and I'm sure we'll see you around the corner.
All right. Thank you.
When we come back, speaking of campaigns, there's been a new entrant into the United States Senate campaign here in Missouri. We just had the primary elections in Illinois on Tuesday, and we're going to break that down. John Wood has announced that he's running as an independent. That's next. It's the Annie Fry Show, 97.1 FM Talk.
I've got so much honey.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
And the birds in the trees.
The Mark Reardon Show.
You're throwing down the gauntlet, aren't you?
I'm looking to fire Sam Page. I offered a challenge to debate and give all the money to charity. His response was when hell freezes over.
Weekdays from 3 to 6 on 97.1 FM Talk.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money, Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Every week, we meet clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and, in some cases, actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Requesting a consultation is free of charge. To request a free consultation, contact us at clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member NYSE and SIPC.
Hey guys, Glover here with my very, very good friend, Dr. Kathy Maupin at BioBalanceHealth.com. If you have reached that certain age and you're just not feeling very well and nothing's working the way it used to work, go see Dr. Kathy. She is not only a medical doctor, she is a patient of this bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. It absolutely works. It's a long-term solution. She is an artist when it comes to helping you with your hormones. BioBalanceHealth.com for Dr. Kathy Maupin.
On Saturday, July 9th, the Cardinals host the Phillies. That day, 25,000 fans, ages 16 and older, will receive a short-sleeved hooded pullover thanks to the Shane Company. This soft gray pullover features a neon bird on the back, and it's sure to be one of the hottest items this season. That's Saturday, July 9th. The Cardinals, the Phillies, and the short-sleeved hooded pullover. Get your tickets at cardinals.com/promotions.
Swing and a long one. Yachty got into it. It's a goner.
Sunday is Family Fun Day at Busch Stadium. On Sunday, July 10th, the Cardinals host the Phillies. That day, 10,000 kids ages 15 and younger entering with a ticket will take home a Yachty Ermelina tank top presented by Mercy. This red, white, and blue tank features the future Hall of Famer's nickname, Yachty. Come early for free frozen treats in the Ford Plaza thanks to Prairie Farms. That's Sunday, July 10th. Get your tickets today at cardinals.com/promotions.
Thomas Helbig and the Retirement Advisory Group, your destination for retirement planning security. You want to make sure that when it comes to your retirement, that it's going to be there working for you the way you've worked for it, of course. And when you reach out to Thomas Helbig and the Retirement Advisory Group, Bob Kershaw, the whole staff there at this family-owned and operated business, you're quickly going to understand why they've had no clients ever lose a penny. You can get a free retirement review. It's a no-cost, zero obligation retirement review when you call them at 314-993-9494. That's 314-993-9494. Let their team show you how you can have the retirement of your dreams. It's not too good to be true. They're helping Annie Fry Show listener after Annie Fry Show listener achieve this dream. Don't be scared about the current economy. Take control of the wheel and call my friend Thomas Helbig. 314-993-9494. That's 314-993-9494. Get a copy of his second edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement, retirementkey.com.
Tune into the Del Walmsley Radio Show. Del, self-made millionaire and founder of Lifestyles Unlimited, will show you how to live the life of your dreams and pay for it with passive income.
Listen to the Del Walmsley Radio Show this Saturday afternoon from 1 to 2 p.m. on 97.1 FM Talk.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for their honor flight today at gslhonorflight.org, and for heating services, visit aircomfortservice.com.
Up-to-the-minute traffic reports, so you don't have to keep looking at your phone. Dependable traffic on 97.1 FM Talk. Driven by Ambassador Midwest Floor Company, the best way to deal with in-home traffic. Experience more at Ambassador Midwest Floor.
Everybody get up.
Hey, it is the Annie Fry Show. John Hancock sitting in. Ryan Wiggins will be sitting in tomorrow in this seat to take us into the holiday weekend. Wiggy, welcome back in.
Thank you. Looking forward to this weekend. Going to be here quite a bit.
Me
programming
too. Brad Range working the boards, doing a great job as always. Well, yesterday, I guess it was, or the day before, I was losing track of time at my advanced age. This fellow, John Wood, he was a U.S. attorney for the Western District of Missouri under President George W. Bush, appointed to that position. He was the chief prosecutor for the federal government in the Kansas City area. He is a Republican. He has been, until yesterday or the day before, he has been the Republican counsel on the January 6th commission, providing the legal work. He stepped aside from that and has announced that he's going to be running as an independent for the United States Senate seat in Missouri that's going to take place in November of this year. He has a month from now until the end of July to collect 10,000 signatures statewide in order to qualify for the ballot. Probably going to be able to do that. Well, our own Mark Cox had him on this morning, and let's go to cut 6 here. And he's saying that he's not in this to split the party.
The goal here is not to split the party. The goal here is to elect a conservative who's within the mainstream and represents the views and values of Missouri voters. Some people say, because I'm a Republican, I'm going to take votes away from the Republican nominee. But other people say, Greitens is going to be the nominee, and they'll split into two camps, the pro-Greitens camp and the anti-Greitens camp, and I'm going to split the anti-Greitens vote. So, I hear different things about how I'm going to impact the other candidates. I've decided not to worry about that because the goal here is not to be a spoiler. It's to win this election, because I think I'm going to be the only candidate in the general election who's going to represent the views and values of Missouri voters.
Yeah. So I do this for a living. And now, how are our math skills in the room? Are pretty good? Our little math skills?
Average to below average.
All right. Well, then this is perfect for you.
Okay.
So in an election in Missouri, there is a floor for a Democrat. A Democrat that is funded and it runs a credible campaign. So somebody that has no money or whatever, this doesn't apply to them. But let's say, remember Nicole Galloway, for example. She was the state auditor. She ran for governor. She had a lot of money. She ran a campaign, had the ads on the air. She got 42% of the vote.
Okay.
That's the floor for a Democrat in the state of Missouri, as long as they're running an actual campaign. Now, we know on the Democratic side, you've got Lucas Kuntz out of Kansas City, who's raised millions of dollars. And then out of St. Louis, Democrat Trudy Bush Valentine, who has millions and millions and millions of dollars. She's an Anheuser-Busch heiress. So the Democrat candidate is going to be, one of them is going to win that primary, and they are going to be well-funded in November, meaning the floor for them is 42%. Now, along comes the Republican nominee, and it's either going to be Eric Greitens, Eric Schmidt, or Vicky Hartzler. I think that's a given at this point.
Unless Trump endorses Billy Long, right?
Yeah.
That would be the only way.
That would be about the only way, yeah. And I don't see that happening.
Okay.
But, I mean, he could, I suppose.
Well, let's for the purpose of the conversation, we'll say those three.
Yeah. Well, let's say it's Eric Greitens.
Okay.
Okay. So now you get Eric Greitens out there, who a lot of Republicans don't like. I'm not gonna, And then here's John Wood, right? This conservative January 6th advisor, who's running as an independent. So he's picked the lane. He's going to run as a conservative. So it means he's going to be pro-life on the abortion issue. He's going to be conservative. There's not a single Democrat that's going to vote for this guy.
Right.
They've got their candidate, 42%. So that means that they're going to be dividing up the other 58%. It's not going to happen. They're going to elect a Democrat here. It's inevitable. Now, he'll probably run ahead of Greitens if Greitens is the nominee, but there's not a scenario where they're going to be able to put 43 or 44% of the vote together, because that would only leave a handful of percentage for the other Republican candidate. And don't forget, in Missouri, libertarians have ballot access and the Constitution Party has ballot access. There is no leftist party. The Green Party does not have ballot access in Missouri. So those two right of center parties, they're going to get their 1-2% of the vote. That's going to be scraped out of the barrel. And the only logical outcome of this guy running is that he's going to elect a Democrat. There's no way around that fact. And apparently Senator Danforth has convinced the guy that he has a chance of winning. And it's a real disservice to this guy because it is about as bad a political advice as I've ever heard in my business.
Who is funding this guy?
Danforth.
Explain Danforth.
Well, John Danforth was a 18-year United States Senator, Republican in Missouri. And I'd love to ask him sometime how he'd feel about having another Republican in one of his elections back in the day, while he was trying to run for the United States.
His motivation isn't necessarily to elect a Democrat.
No.
He's just he's just got bad advice and bad.
Yes, I think that's the most generous thing you can say about it. Is that it's a very bad political miscalculation.
Couldn't we theoretically see Democrat money then going to John Wood if it were Greitens? Because you're saying it probably would have to be Greitens versus Wood for it to be a Democrat to win.
No.
You're saying it would be any Republican.
I think any Republican. In fact, so if it's Greitens, I'm saying there's a chance that Wood could outpoll Greitens in November.
Okay.
But
not win.
He's not going to win.
Okay.
He's not going to win. If it's Schmidt or Hartzler, then the only hope Republicans would have of actually winning that seat would be to keep Wood's vote total into the 3, 4, 5% range. And so the more money and the more effective a campaign he runs, ironically, the more likely he is to elect the Democrat. We need his campaign to be totally ineffective in order for a Republican to have a real shot at winning this thing. And it's the most unforced error I've ever seen in politics.
It's so unforced that it almost seems intentional.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking. Yeah, that's why I'm who's funding this thing.
Yeah.
If it's, I could very much see national Democrat money start coming down the pike.
It will
for John Wood.
Yeah,
and I don't know whether he'd take it. I mean, I assume most people take money if it comes to him.
Sure.
But then all of a sudden, all the airwaves, the billboards, you see John Wood everywhere. He becomes a viable candidate because there's so much money behind him just to elect the Democrat.
There have been 2 independents that have won United States Senate races in modern history. One is Lisa Murkowski in Alaska.
Joe Lieberman.
And one is Joe Lieberman in Connecticut. Both of them were incumbents.
What about Bernie Sanders?
Well, he he runs as an independent, but there's no real Republican candidate in most of those races.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen, and you need to be this. Missouri's a right of center state. It's a red-ish state.
Yeah,
but it's not so red that we can withstand in a 3-way race where 3 credible candidates are running, that you can withstand a Democrat who's getting 42% of the vote as a floor. I mean, they might get 43, 44% of the vote for that matter. So I don't see a scenario where this thing makes any sense whatsoever, but I also don't see how you're going to stop it from happening.
I don't even understand his logic, because in that clip, he's like, I want the people of Missouri to vote for a mainstream candidate, somebody who accurately represents the people of Missouri. Well, if you stop and think about it, the people of Missouri voted for A.G. Schmidt. They voted for Vicky Hartzler. They voted for all of these people that are running.
They voted for Donald Trump by 16 points. But so let's go to clip number 8. This one tickled me.
Most of the polls that I've seen still have Eric Greitens leading. And so, this is, I don't want to be focusing right now on Eric Schmidt or Vicky Hartzler or McCloskey or anybody else. This is about offering a mainstream alternative in the general election. I think whoever comes out of the Republican and Democratic primaries is going to be somebody who's going to be very divisive and extreme, whether they really believe those things or they're just acting that way because they think they need to in order to win an election. Either way, it's not what Missourians want.
So there you go. He basically is calling Eric Schmidt and Vicky Hartzler extremists.
Of course.
And, that's
what he's going to do.
There's no lane here for him to win. There's no lane. All he's going to do is suck votes out of the pocket of the Republican nominee for this seat. And,
if it's Vicky Hartzler or Eric Schmidt, if it's one of those two, I would have to think that the average Republican would just even know them better. And so you'd have to be thinking, well, he's not going to pull much more than maybe 10% away from those two.
Right.
Where you'd think they would still be pretty much the presumptive.
What's the floor for a Republican candidate?
Well, here in this instance, you're going to have 2 Republican candidates.
Right. But I mean, just in general,
it's in the high 40s.
High 40s. So even if they take 10%,
they could still get it.
You're looking at no. If it's high 40s, you take 10% off of high 40s, and that's 30%.
Yeah. Well, so it's really, so if you do the math, so you assume the Democrat at 42. If Wood gets 10% of the vote, that leaves 48% on the table. And so he would need to poll at 10% or less for Schmidt to have a shot, because you're going to lose 1 or 2 or 3% from the Libertarian and Constitution Party anyway. So now you're at 13. That's 55. 45 left. 45 would beat 42. But if the guy becomes credible and he's getting 15, 17, 20% of the vote, then it becomes
and regardless
impossible
with no chance to win.
With no chance to win.
No, at all.
I mean, you can't say there's no chance to win. I remember back when I was in the legislature, we had a Democrat. His name was Elmer J. Lucky Cantrell. And he had a very, very, very Democrat district. It was up in Overland St. Anne. And our guy filed and ran, didn't have a chance to win. Well, I think it was 2 weeks before the election, Lucky Cantrell got indicted.
Oh, no.
And the Republican won the race. And so you never know for sure.
Unlucky Cantrell.
But yeah, he was very unlucky Cantrell that year. And our guy who I ran into not too long ago, this was a long time ago. He won that race, served one term in the Missouri General Assembly, and then was defeated by whatever the Democrat was the next time. But this is a 6-year seat.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be a 6-year seat,
and it affects the whole country.
It
not
affects
just...
yes, it could very well affect the makeup of the United States Senate, the majority of the United States Senate.
And here's the thing: you're going to see St. Louis media, St. Louis Post-Dispatch, certainly, probably Kansas City media, pumping up this guy. You know they will.
Yeah.
They announced it was top story yesterday on STL Today.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we work in this. I've never even heard of the guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay. Yeah, top story.
I think the best way to go for the Republicans in this is just keep tying this guy to Liz Cheney, to tie him to the January 6th things, and that will harm his credibility.
Yeah, well, some people, although you got Republicans out there. I mean, look, it's you're looking at he needs to be held at 12 or lower, I think. And if he's got millions of dollars, that's gonna be hard to do. Just gonna be hard to do. Well, it's 2 hours down. I want to thank Ryan Wiggins and Brad for joining in that conversation. When we come back, NATO is expanding, and we're going to break that down. That's next on the Annie Frey Show.
What is it about Lakeside Renovation and Design that I am so excited to support? Well, first and foremost, it's the people. It's honestly the people who are there. And the second thing is, it's you. Because I know that you trust me, and I take that very seriously to make sure that if I'm going to hand you over in your home renovation project, your kitchen renovation, your bathroom renovation, your room addition, your James Hardy siding installation, your Infinity Marvin from Marvin fiberglass window replacement, any of these big projects, it's an investment in your home. I know that it's a costly endeavor. I know that when I put my name next to somebody else's, that has to mean something. And that's why the choice for me is Lakeside Renovation and Design. I want you to understand that they are committed to quality, they are committed to value, but ultimately they're committed to customer service satisfaction and making sure that you are thrilled with your project and thrilled that you did it with Lakeside Renovation and Design. If you have a project in your future, choose Lakeside Renovation and Design. You can learn all the information you need on their website at lakesidерenovationanddesign.com.
Parents, remember this website. Write it down, make a plan to visit. www.showmeschooloptions.org. Have you always wanted to send your child to private school? If they attend a public school district, or if they're coming in or just out of kindergarten, now may be your chance to receive up to $6,375 per child per year to apply towards private school tuition for this fall. But time is running out. The next school year is around the corner. Go to www.showmeschooloptions.org to learn more about Missouri's Scholars Program. It's new, it's free, it's a chance to invest in your child's future. The Missouri Scholars Program can be used for private school, homeschool, tutoring, therapy, and more. There's nothing more important you can do for your child's future this summer. Go to www.showmeschooloptions.org now. There could be $6,375 just waiting to be claimed. Tell your friends too. www.showmeschooloptions.org. Sign up and see. It's free. And who doesn't like free right about now?
Did you know there's a Space Channel?
One of the most exciting projects in the solar system.
Space Channel's got movies, original series, news, music, and so much more.
We have come to visit you in peace. Now we're getting to what they call the moment of truth.
Download the Space Channel app on your connected TVs and mobile devices. Just go to the App Store and search Space Channel. Do it now. It's free.
Space Channel. Front row seat to the final frontier.
AMCO presents Bet You Didn't Know.
Bet you didn't know that your car's transmission is made up of 800 pieces. Also, bet you didn't know that AMCO's fixed over 40 million transmissions and that AMCO offers a nationwide warranty.
AMCO offers easy payment plan options for most any credit situation, so you can fix it fast and pay it off slow at AMCO.
That's AMCO, AA.
MCO.
KFTK FM Florissant, driven by the Bomarito Automotive Group, 97.1 FM Talk.
An Odyssey station.
The president calls it a devastating decision. Elisa Brady, Fox News. He's slamming a Supreme Court ruling that limits the EPA's authority to cap greenhouse gas emissions.
It was a ruling 6-3 in the majority. The conservative justices of the U.S. Supreme Court, they ruled that the EPA does not have the power to unilaterally cap emissions from power plants. The case was out of West Virginia. It's a blow to the EPA's enforcement authority and the president's agenda. The case puts into question the power of other federal agencies. Think about workplace safety like OSHA, also vaccine mandates and mask mandates.
Fox's David Spunt in Washington. President Biden says the ruling risks damaging efforts to keep air clean and combat climate change. He's vowing continued action through executive authority and working with states and cities. Critics of the president's immigration policies are upset about today's other Supreme Court decision, greenlighting the end of the Remain in Mexico rule for asylum seekers.
It's our communities, our state, our families. We're under assault every single day with cartels being empowered, and we don't want to sit by while migrants are dying.
Texas Republican Congressman Chip Roy, after 53 migrants died in San Antonio, where a tractor trailer was abandoned in a suspected case of human smuggling. This week, millions of Americans face more flight delays and cancellations over the holiday weekend, mainly blamed on staffing shortages. But off-duty Delta pilots are picketing at major airports today.
We're very concerned about the Delta brand being tarnished with the delays and cancellations. Delta customers and Delta pilots deserve better.
Union spokesman Evan Bach, as the pilots push not only for new contracts, but changes to their schedules aimed at helping to reduce disruptions. Delta says its goal remains to provide pilots with an industry-leading overall contract. An hour to the close on Wall Street, the Dow's down 273. America is listening to Fox News.
Dell's Black Friday and July sale is here. Power productivity with a tech refresh, now with up to 45% off top-rated laptops like the XPS, along with our special deals on business desktops with Intel Core processors. Get big savings on the latest servers, storage, monitors, and more with free shipping and special financing with Dell Business Credit. Upgrade today by calling 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, beat the largest timeshare company in federal court and has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-857-5656. That's 800-857-5656.
Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling weather with Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Temperature's definitely a little bit warmer today, but the good news is only moderate humidity this afternoon. Lots of sunshine. I think we'll top out pretty close to 95 degrees. Tonight, clear skies 70. Friday, sunny, hot, humid. Summertime on Friday. Maybe a spot thunderstorm, but tough to find. 95 count on scattered showers and thunderstorms Saturday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
We're ready for a celebration across the nation. And on Monday night, we've got the music. I'm a flag-waving, patriotic nephew of my uncle. Tune in to 97.1 on July 4th from 8 to 10 for the American Soundtrack. Music to enhance your July 4th fireworks experience, hosted by Ryan Wiggins. Unabashedly grateful to be an American. The American Soundtrack. Music for fireworks. Monday night from 8 to 10. Turn it on and let freedom ring.
Attention men. Lately, you've been hearing a lot about wave therapy as a new and revolutionary cure for erectile dysfunction. But did you know the St. Louis Men's Clinic has provided wave therapy since 2017? Wave therapy is a non-invasive, pain-free treatment for ED, but it's not new, nor does it cure ED. In fact, if you've had prostate cancer, wave therapy is not a solution. So before spending too much for a treatment that may not work, call the experienced and knowledgeable staff at the St. Louis Men's Clinic. Their doctors will discuss the available treatment options and develop a customized plan just for you. Get the facts on wave therapy and the treatments for erectile dysfunction. Call the St. Louis Men's Clinic today and schedule a $25 wave therapy session and private consultation. Yeah, that's $25. Call the St. Louis Men's Clinic at 314-282-8700 or visit stlmensclinic.com. Locally owned and operated and a proud partner of the St. Louis Cardinals.
I'm Thomas Helbig with the Retirement Advisory Group. I'm proud to say we are a family business. Through innovative financial tools, my nephew Bob and I are committed to making sure your retirement nest egg is kept safe from market declines. As a matter of fact, we have never lost a dime of our clients' money, and we won't lose any of yours either.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw, and the secret is in linking safely to the market without putting your principal at risk. As we look ahead at the likelihood of increasing volatility in the market, it's important that you protect your nest egg from market losses, as that's the engine that drives your retirement income.
Our family would like to help your family retire comfortably and keep your retirement safe and secure. Call us now for a no-cost, no-obligation retirement review. And just for coming in, you'll get a copy of my second edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. We've been helping retirees and pre-retirees retire with confidence for 36 years. Call us now, 314-993-9494, or online at retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
At Diamonds Direct right now, there's nothing standing in your way of owning the piece of jewelry you've been dreaming of. No down payment and no finance charges for 5 whole years on any purchase. Take the amazing Diamonds Direct price you're used to, divide by 60, and that's your payment. It's a smart way to buy. Keep your money in your pocket and still add that amazing ring, band, or bracelet to your collection. Even the upgrade you've been wanting. 5 years, 0 interest on any purchase. Only at Diamonds Direct. Get all the details at diamondsdirect.com on approved credit.
When you discover a new favorite bottle of Cabernet or bourbon at Total Wine, you'll discover a whole lot more. So explore the wondrous selection and totally low prices at TotalWine.com, where you'll love what you find. Spirits not sold in Virginia and North Carolina. Drink responsibly. B21.
For details and a list of all station contest rules, visit www.971talk.com/rules. Listen on the Odyssey app and rewind whenever you'd like. Or catch up on entire shows within 24 hours of air. 97.1 FM Talk. Experience the rewind with the Odyssey app.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what we're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long. Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady. What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
It is the Annie Fry Show. John Hancock sitting in for Annie. She's on vacation. She'll be back on Tuesday after the 4th of July holiday that we're all about to enjoy. And joining us right now is CBS News military analyst Colonel Jeff McCausland, retired. Colonel McCausland, we've talked many times. It's great to have you on the program today.
John, it's a great pleasure to be with you, and happy 4th of July.
Indeed. So this NATO summit that's taking place, the addition of Finland and Sweden to NATO, how big a deal is this?
This is a huge deal, I think, in many, many ways. One has to keep in mind that, in essence, by invading Ukraine, Mr. Putin has managed to undermine about 200 years of Swedish neutrality, and I would also add German pacifism for the last 4 or 5 decades. As we've seen, Sweden, which had been traditionally neutral, and Finland, which had historically been neutral as well in the aftermath of the Second World War, decide that this was such a threat to not only their security, but the security of Europe at large, that they were going to make this dramatic move to join NATO. And after a couple of hiccups along the way, particularly with our Turkish allies, it appears with the decision at the summit, this will go ahead. Now, that being said, all hurdles have not been crossed. Each individual country, 30 members, have to vote in their respective parliaments to accept the Swedes and the Finns into the alliance.
And we're talking about a couple of countries here who they bring substantial military assets to the table in and of themselves.
That's exactly right. These are very advanced military forces, substantial military forces, and also in the case of the Finns and Swedes, substantial reserve forces, which could be called forward in time of crisis. It also has serious, I think, implications for NATO in terms of the geography of the whole situation. It'll add about 800 miles of border between NATO and the Russian Federation. Obviously, a point of operational concern that we have to deter and defend that border as well as all other borders of NATO. But at the same time, if anybody takes out a map and examines what this all looks like, a few days ago, if you were a Russian naval planner, you might assume that transit through the Baltic Sea for your Northern Fleet, which is based in St. Petersburg and Kaliningrad, might proceed through the Baltic Sea, which is relatively neutral. And now with the entry of Finland and Sweden into NATO, the Baltic Sea just became a NATO lake. So your ability to deploy that fleet, I would argue, in time of crisis is going to be dramatically circumscribed.
This alliance since the end of World War II has arguably been a huge part of what has kept the world safe. There was some weakening, I think you could argue, under the Trump administration of that alliance, but those days are gone. This alliance seems to be stronger than ever.
Well, it certainly does for the moment, John, but I think we have to acknowledge that there has to be a willingness to continue to do that in the future. And during the summit, several leaders, Mr. Biden included, did show at times a concern over so-called Western fatigue. I mean, many Europeans that I know wonder, was Mr. Trump an anomaly in terms of his trying to move the United States towards a more isolationist policy, or is Joe Biden, who wants to pull the United States back, and in his first NATO summit a year ago said, the United States is back, is he the anomaly? Where is the United States going? And frankly, I think that's in the back of many European leaders' minds at the moment. If we can show the willpower, not only for the United States and NATO partners, to continue to cooperate together, continue to make the investments that are going to be necessary to create military forces for the 21st century, and continue to align our policies, particularly with respect to opposing Russian aggression in Ukraine, then I think the future for the alliance is quite a good one and could be strong. But that's going to take an awful lot of willpower, an awful lot of patience, an awful lot of political cajoling by leaders, and a willingness of taxpayers to support those kind of burdens.
Another bit of news coming out of this summit is I don't know if it's new or renewed, but this focus on China as a real threat to the alliance. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, that's really extraordinary. For the first time, China was included in this particular document. What makes it even more interesting is in attendance at this particular summit, for the first time, were the leaders of Australia, Japan, New Zealand, and Republic of Korea. All were there. I think suggesting a couple things. Though they didn't call China in their doc a threat, it was referred to in the NATO strategic concept as a challenge to alliance interest, security, and values. But at the same time, suggested that NATO is no longer solely focused on the Euro-Atlantic region, but realizes it has a global focus. And obviously, this underscores the other part of that, which is a growing, if you will, cooperation between the Russian Federation and the People's Republic of China.
And all of this wouldn't be happening necessarily had not Putin invaded Ukraine. And that clearly has been a motivation to bringing this alliance more closely aligned and to expanding it into these other countries. There's so much domestic news happening in this country, and there was such a focus on Ukraine early on in that war, and it's been going on for months now. We know that Russia has made some advances, particularly in the West, in the Donbass region, but they've had some setbacks as well, and one of them may have to do with shipping corridors towards the south.
Right. Yeah, that's right. In the last 24 or 36 hours, we have learned the Ukrainians have retaken so-called Snake Island, which has, I think, enormous symbolic meaning as well, because this was the island where a bunch of Ukrainians who were surrounded by Russian naval forces basically told the Russian leader when they were demanded that they surrender, that he could go and do something to himself, and they held out. They were eventually repatriated after they were captured, but now that island has been retaken. The Russians have said that they retreated in an effort to show their willingness to cooperate and for, the possibility of moving food. They tried to describe this as a positive diplomatic move when in reality they're just retreating. But you're right as well, John. This also is very key in terms of that particular area near Odessa and potential in future to open up some kind of shipping to allow this now 20 million tons of Ukrainian grain that's sitting in ports to get out and be delivered around the world. And hopefully, if that occurs, we can avoid what many fear to be a worldwide famine that could occur in particular parts of the country, parts of the globe that are experiencing already food shortages.
Yeah, Ukraine is such a wealth of agriculture in that country, and it's so much of a big chunk of the world is dependent on that grain. You know, if you're looking at this, I've heard military analysts that have said that they believe the Putin strategy is to just keep working and burning the West into exhaustion over this to eventually bring this war to an end. Is that what you think he's doing, and can it work?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what he's doing. I think his belief right now is his willpower and his patience far exceeds what Western leaders can bring to the table. I mean, he looks across and he says, well, Mr. Biden's popularity rating in some polls has dipped below 40%. Mr. Macron in France just lost a parliamentary majority in his particular parliament. Mr. Johnson just suffered major political setbacks in the United Kingdom. So Putin may think, well, I can hold out longer than they can in this game. And eventually they'll make concessions and force Ukraine to come to the table and make concessions to me that will allow me to at least portray that I've had some success in this particular invasion of Ukraine. We know full well his initial objective, which was to take over the entire country, capture Kyiv, etc., failed rather miserably as he tried to do that early on. And now he's focused, as you rightly point out, in that Donbass region. He can secure that. I think there's a possibility he could declare a ceasefire, try to negotiate from a position of strength, and use that as a vehicle to describe this as a success. But at the same time, I think that'll be only an intermediate stop, and we can expect him, if that was to occur, to renew the offensive on the entire country sometime in the future.
Is there still concern about expanding this even beyond Ukraine into Moldova or some of those countries that are in the region, or is that pretty much off the table at this point?
I think physically that may be off the table, and it's just a matter of forces available. The Russians have suffered up to 100,000 total casualties, we think, maybe 30,000 dead, maybe 60 to 70,000 wounded, a substantial portion of their force. There are already reports that Russian soldiers are getting maybe a couple of weeks of training max and being sent to the front. This may not be physically sustainable for them over an indefinite period of time, and expanding, military operations to another piece of terrain like Moldova or somewhere else, I think is perhaps out of the cards, at least for the time being. That's not to say they wouldn't try to horizontally escalate. How could they do that? Well, we've seen them expand their disinformation campaign, which they're very good at. We've seen them in recent days expand their cyber campaign. And there's been a dust up between them and Lithuania over the Lithuanians sanctioning some of the movement by rail across their territory between Russia proper and the Kaliningrad Oblast, part of Russia there on the Baltic Sea. The Russians have threatened to retaliate. In the last couple of days, we've seen a large-scale cyber attack against Lithuania. So that's a possibility in terms of escalation that I think we have to watch for.
And before I let you go, the sanctions that the West has put in place, what evidence, what signs do we have of what effect those sanctions are having in Russia?
Well, they're not having as dramatic effect immediately as we had hoped or anticipated. They're certainly having an effect. Estimates by most economists is the Russian economy will shrink by 10% this year. Mayor of Moscow a week or so ago said that Moscow alone would lose at least 200,000 jobs because of the departure of Western corporations. And now we see Russian car manufacturers rolling out new cars that are missing all kinds of things that we would normally see, like airbags and that kind of thing, which require certain microchips, which they no longer can get because of the sanctions around Russia. And finally, of course, there's renewed effort through the G7 to try to restrict such things as the purchase of gold from Russia on the international markets, as well as trying to cap the price of oil and reduce Russia's ability to get profits from that they can use to further continue this conflict. Whether or not that latter thing will be successful, I think is going to take some time to wait and see.
Colonel Jeff McCausland is our guest. He's CBS military analyst. Tomorrow, July the 1st, is the 159th anniversary of the first day of the Battle of Gettysburg.
That's right.
And you, sir, wrote a book about leadership lessons from Gettysburg that I've had the privilege of reading, and I would highly recommend it to our audience. In just the minute or so we have left here, tell me what inspired the book and what the readers of that book will find when they get there.
Well, John, you're very kind. What inspired me to do that book was when I was Dean of the United States Army War College, we would take students to Gettysburg for a traditional military staff ride. We did that over and over. In fact, the part partially created for that reason. Over time, it suddenly occurred to me that this was really a study in crisis leadership by two organizations in crisis, Union and Confederate Army, and therefore could be used as an effective vehicle to tease out those principles of leadership that one I can see very clearly in a crisis where an organization has to make decisions with the pressure of time. And that's where this all came from. And I still maintain it is an incredible case study to do that. Obviously, also an iconic particular conflict to use in that regard, because I always like to say, John, there were two battles in our history in which the entire fate of the nation hung in the balance. And one of those was the Battle of Yorktown, of course, which if you don't win at Yorktown, you're not a country. And the second one was on the 3rd of July, 1863, where if the Union line had broken and the Confederates had been successful, then the Civil War could have ended in a very different way. It might end up being two different countries.
And the name of the book?
Battle-Tested Leadership Lessons for 21st Century Leaders. And I recommend it to anyone. And John, I appreciate you mentioning that as we head into this 4th of July weekend and also the anniversary of the battle.
Yeah, and when we come back, I'm going to tell the story of a then little-known colonel from the 20th Maine. You know who that is, Jeff.
One each Joshua Chamberlain. I know him well.
Yep, and we're going to talk about that next. Thanks so much to Jeff McCausland. It's the Annie Fry Show, Gettysburg, coming up after this.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Fry Show.
Please don't take my man. Jolene, 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 Jolene.
Monday night, we've got the music. Tune in to 97.1 on July 4th from 8 to 10 for the American soundtrack. Music for fireworks. Unabashedly grateful to be an American.
You want to retire soon, but everyone keeps telling you to wait until you're 65. After all, that's the age that you qualify for Medicare and you're close to full retirement age. I'm Marvin Mitchell, president of Compass Retirement Solutions. In my new book, Retire Early, the 9 critical decisions when retiring before 65, I discuss proper planning to help make early retirement possible. When to take Social Security, what to do with your 401k, healthcare, how to maximize retirement income, and much more. Get a complimentary copy of Retire Early by calling 1-800-743-8510. That's 1-800-743-8510. Can you retire early? Call 1-800-743-8510 for your copy of Retire Early, the 9 critical decisions when retiring before 65.
Investments and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and Illinois. Compass Retirement Solutions is not affiliated with the U.S. government or any governmental agency.
I'm Matt Spiegel, and I'm the host of the brand new podcast, Beat the Streak Daily. Every weekday this Major League season, I will update the state of Beat the Streak. The rules are simple. Each day, pick 1 or 2 players you think will get a hit. And if they do, your streak continues. Sounds doable, right? But so far, it's been impossible to win. And with millions of dollars on the line, no one has ever gotten to 56. Subscribe now to Beat the Streak Daily, wherever you get your podcasts, and play Beat the Streak for your chance to win $5.6 million.
Mark Cox here. In life, there are good surprises and bad surprises. I caught one of the bad surprises the other day after we locked our keys in our truck while on vacation. The good news is I have a CarShield protection plan. Every protection plan includes coast-to-coast roadside assistance at no extra cost. One phone call, and before long, I was back in the truck and we were on our way. That's fantastic. You're going to love CarShield. They offer protection plans for around $100 a month that cover more parts than ever before. When you need a repair, you don't have to deal with the paperwork or the headaches. All you have to do is choose the mechanic to do the work. CarShield administrators handle the rest. Now, CarShield helps make the surprise of your car breaking down easier to handle. Get coverage like I did. Go to carshield.com/Cox or call 800-391-8888 to save 10% on your plan. That's carshield.com/Cox.
Hi, guys. It's Andrew with Pineview Medical Clinic. Is erectile dysfunction damaging your relationship? Are you sick of the pill and all the side effects? Well, welcome to the future. We have a major medical breakthrough. Pineview Medical Clinic uses the most advanced form of wave therapy. Backed by 60 clinical studies, our technology uses pressure waves to repair and open up blood vessels. We've helped countless men get rid of their ED. But what is the true end result? Their relationship, even their lives, improve drastically. If you're ready to regain your love life, call us right now, and not only will the assessment and ultrasound be free, we'll also give you a gift that produces immediate results in the bedroom. It almost never fails. This is worth $550, and it's free to callers right now. 314-530-7777. That's 314-530-7777. Put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and experience what I call the happiness ripple effect. Call Pineview Medical Clinic now. 314-530-7777.
5-minute cash offer on your house. Hello, this is Chad Clayman with ClaymanGroup.com. KLAMEN Group.com. 314-946-9999. Local and family owned. We're going to buy your property direct in as-is condition. And we just rolled out the instant cash offer where you'll get an offer on your house in 5 minutes or less when you reach out to us. Find us online at ClaymanGroup.com for an instant cash offer now. KLAMEN Group.com. 946-9999. 314-946 all nines.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Fry Show.
Howdy, y'all. John Hancock along for the ride for the next half hour or so here on the Annie Fry Show. Annie will be back on Tuesday. Wiggy joins us again. Good to have you, partner.
Yeah, good to be back.
You're going to be in the you're going to be in the big. Now, do you sit in the big chair when you host?
I do. There's no reason for me to, other than just ego, I think.
Yeah,
but I do.
Yeah.
I move over there.
And then I guess tomorrow is Friday, so that means Hannah's working the board tomorrow.
Yep, Hannah will be running the board.
Oh. Well, that'll be an interesting dynamic.
There you go.
So take advantage of that in some way.
Don't make it weird.
I don't know. We got to do something to throw her off, though.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'll miss you. I'll be down the hall tomorrow. So
okay.
Yeah. But anyway, tomorrow is the 1st of July, and it was 159 years ago on the 1st of July that the Battle of Gettysburg began. In Pennsylvania, it marked the furthest north that the Confederate Army had gone in the entirety of the Civil War battle. And to take you back in time, in 1863, the presidential election was still over a year away. Abraham Lincoln was about as popular in 1863 as Joe Biden is today in this country. Very unpopular. The North was taking casualties. Robert E. Lee, with a inferior sized army, was consistently winning battles after battle after battle. The Battle of Chancellorsville had just taken place. That was a massive Southern win. It did cost them General Stonewall Jackson. He lost his life at the Battle of Chancellorsville. And Lee made the decision that he was going to take his army up into Union territory. And he thought, and he was right, he thought if he could win a major battle in the North, that it would cripple the support for the war in the North and could very well lead to the end of the Civil War that would then produce two countries, the Northern United States of America and the Southern Confederate States of America. And historians believe that Lee's assessment was absolutely correct, that that battle was going to be pivotal. Our last guest, Jeff McCausland, who's written a book about leadership lessons from Gettysburg, he believes that outcome of that battle determined the future of this country today. And had the North not won the Battle of Gettysburg, that the North would not have prevailed ultimately in the Civil War. Now, most of us are probably happy that the United States survived that experience, but we're very close to a geographically divided country today. One of the ironies of the politics today is that North and South is still very much apparent in a way that it really hadn't been, but has been kind of moving that way the last several decades. And I just find that pretty interesting. The South was, after the Civil War, it was all Democrat.
I would think today it would be, you'd look more at the country and say middle and coastal rather than just north and south.
Well, yeah, coastal for certain coastal. But there is no question that you look at the election results in the South over the last several election cycles, it's red.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I'm agreeing with you.
Right. Yeah.
But just that the whole middle of the country has become the conservative kind of traditional block, and the West Coast and the East Coast, at least New England, has become the progressive side.
Yeah, I mean, that's very true. And it's a very divided country today. There's no question about it. We're not as divided as we were when we were killing each other, but it's a very divided country. Well, on the first day of the Battle of Gettysburg, the Union troops come in and they kind of caught the South by surprise somewhat. And they had a pretty good day, did the Confederate Army. The Confederate Army caught the North by surprise. If I misspoke, I apologize. And they had a pretty good day, that first day of Gettysburg. And when the sun went down, the Northern troops, the Union troops, amassed, and they distributed their folks, and they created a line, a defensive line that they wanted to hold. Well, one of the spots they needed to hold was the high ground on the battlefield. Always a key to having the high ground. And there was a place called Little Round Top that was this little hill. And put in charge of protecting Little Round Top was the 20th Maine Volunteers. So these soldiers from Maine, who had a brand new leader of their unit. He was just promoted to colonel, and his name was Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain. He'd been a college professor at Bowdoin College in Maine. He knew about it, studied war, never fought in wars before. But he had some experience in the earlier battles in the Civil War, nothing exemplary. And he was put in charge of the unit. And he was told that his unit was to hold that Little Round Top no matter what the cost. Easy enough. You're on the high ground. They've got to come up to get to you. You're in a very strong, solid strategic position. So they were ready. They dug in their entrenchments there, and they prepared. They didn't know what the South was going to do, whether the South would even fight down that far on the line or not. Well, it so happens that the whole crux of the Southern strategy that day was to take Little Round Top. Chamberlain didn't know that, but the Southern generals did, and it was largely Alabama troops that were asked to go take that hill. And, if you think today in terms of college football, if it was Alabama against Maine, you kind of know how that's going to turn out, right? Well, in this case, Alabama had an advantage, too, because they kept coming. So the first charge up the hill, they were easily repulsed by Chamberlain and his men. And they felt, it's early in the day, it's early in the battle. They certainly hoped and thought that was it. We held the hill. Good for us. But they came again, and they charged up the hill a second time. And Chamberlain now starting to take on some real casualties on his line, but they were successful, and they repelled the charging Alabamians. And, that rebel yell, it had to be a horrific thing and ringing in the ears of they screaming coming up that hill and the gunfire bursting all around. But the line held the second time. And then came the third time up the hill, getting much, much more worrisome for Chamberlain, taking on more casualties and beginning to run low of ammunition. Well, Chamberlain was supposed to deliver a group of deserters to Washington, D.C. Following this battle. These are folks that had left their posts, been captured. They had deserted the army, and they were going up for court-martial in Washington, D.C. And so they're in a guarded wagon far behind the line. And after that third charge up the hill, Chamberlain had an idea, and he went back to that wagon with those prisoners, and he said, "Men, if you'll fight with us today, I will stand up for you tomorrow," because they knew they were going to jail tomorrow. And to a man, they said, "We will fight." And they did. So they came up and provided some replacement forces there at Little Round Top, and they were picking up the weapons of the dead soldiers in order to fire and defend that ground. And for the fourth time up the hill came the Alabama regiment. And this time, they're getting close. I mean, they're getting very close to taking that line. And somehow Chamberlain's men held, and the Alabamians retreated. Chamberlain, at that point, it's getting late in the day. They didn't fight at night back then. And it's getting late in the day, and he's thinking that somehow we made it happen. We made this work, and the replacements, and they're having a celebratory moment there at the top of the hill. They have no idea what's going on in the rest of the battle. It's just their whole world is this hill. But their whole world on that hill was the whole aim of the Southern Army that day. And they saw the Alabamians reforming at the bottom of the hill, and they know that they're coming back again. He's almost completely out of ammunition. He's taken on many casualties. His job was to hold the hill. He's got a couple of choices at this point. He's got 3 choices. He doesn't have ammunition. He could put up a white flag and surrender and at least live through it. They could just get out of town, head for the hills and let the South have the hill. Or somehow they could fight and defend it. And those were the 3 options that the colonel had that day, this young, new colonel. And they made the decision to fight. They didn't have much in the way of bullets. In Alabama, they're coming. They're down there. They're coming. So he put his men in what is called like an L shape. And they performed this textbook military maneuver called the wagon wheel, where they would swing down the hill while the line held the L, the top of it would swing down the hill with their bayonets and somehow try and hand-to-hand combat, win this thing and confuse the enemy. And it was something Chamberlain had read about in the textbook, never used it before. And he gave the command, one of the most famous commands in U.S. military history, on the 2nd of July, 1863. He said, "Fix bayonets." And they did. And up came Alabama, and down the wagon wheel came with bayonets. Among them, the Alabamians got very confused and very disoriented. And with just over 100 troops left in the 20th Maine, they took over 200 Southern prisoners that day.
Wow.
And they held the hill. And the next day, July the 3rd, 1863, Robert E. Lee tried a desperate strategy to rush the Union line through an open field in what was called Pickett's Charge, led by General Pickett. And the Southern troops were decimated that day. And Lee ended up surrendering. The Southern Army would never get further north than they did that day. It was a huge victory on the battlefield for the Union Army, the biggest of the war to date. And it was the beginning of the end of the Confederacy. And you can make a case that one man, one college professor, Colonel Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain, saved the country that day, July 2nd, 1863. And also an interesting note, Chamberlain became the last casualty of the Civil War, dying in 1914 as a result of a hip wound he had suffered during the battle. He had went on to become the governor of Maine. He went on to be the president of Bowdoin College, and he died from his injuries in 1914. And the Battle of Gettysburg is what we celebrate in the 3 days leading up to the independence of our country.
Have you been to Gettysburg?
I haven't.
You haven't? Oh my gosh! I was expecting, of course you.
How anticlimactic is that? I've been to Chancellorsville, ironically enough, but I've never made it to Gettysburg. It is on my bucket list because I want to go and I want to see. And it's you really can make the case that saved America that day.
A couple weeks ago, John, my family went to Mount Rushmore.
Oh,
and we visited for
haven't been there either.
First time we'd ever been to. And but next summer we are talking about taking a trip through Pennsylvania. And one of the reasons I would like to go is Gettysburg.
Yeah.
And I'm looking for, I would like to beat you there now.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're gonna.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're gonna. Well, I will expect a full and detailed report.
I'll do exactly what you just did.
All right. That's Wiggy. Hannah's going to join us after the break. The poll is out there on the YouTube page. If you haven't taken it, take it, because we'll have results when we come back on the Annie Fry Show, 97.1 FM Talk.
The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Tell me why everything turned around.
The Mark Cox Morning Show.
The Colorado Avalanche were so excited about winning their first championship in 2 decades, they dropped the Stanley Cup within 5 minutes. Now it has a huge dent in it.
Oh, no.
The keeper of the cup says this is a record for the shortest time for damaging it.
Weekday mornings 5 to 9.
This Independence Day, the Boston Pops Fireworks Spectacular is back in Boston. Presented by Bloomberg and Eaton Vance. Join conductor Keith Lockhart with special appearances by Shaka Khan, Javier Colon, and Heather Headley. Watch and listen Monday, July 4th, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on Bloomberg Television, Bloomberg Radio, Bloomberg.com, Bloomberg Quick Take, and the Bloomberg Business app.
At 420ID.com, we make it easy to get your Missouri medical marijuana card. Dispensaries are open and inventory is in, so why wait? 420ID is the only company that provides you with a real plastic ID card and have served over 19,000 happy Missouri patients. Open late every day until 9 p.m. If we can't approve you, you pay nothing at 420ID.com. Today is the day to sign up for your Missouri medical marijuana card at 420ID.com. Use promo code RADIO and save $30 today. That's 420ID.com.
If your business has accounting problems, you probably have tax problems. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm in St. Louis. Running a small business is tough, and it's no surprise that companies that don't keep good books often run into tax issues. If you don't fix your accounting problems, you could be doomed to land in the same tax pitfalls every year. Call the Lance Drury Law Firm today. I can help you get out of tax trouble and stay out. If your small business doesn't have a CPA or accountant, I can help you find one. And if you already have one, I work closely with them to resolve your tax problems quickly. Make no mistake, if the numbers don't add up, the IRS will catch it. Fix your accounting and tax problems before they snowball with help from the Lance Drury Law Firm. Remember, if you have IRS issues, you have legal issues. Call attorney Lance Drury, 314-260-6120, or go to Lance, D-R-U-R-Y law.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Parents, remember this website. Write it down. Make a plan to visit. www.showmeschooloptions.org. Have you always wanted to send your child to private school? If they attend a public school district, or if they're coming in or just out of kindergarten, now may be your chance to receive up to $6,375 per child per year to apply towards private school tuition for this fall. But time is running out. The next school year is around the corner. Go to www.showmeschooloptions.org to learn more about Missouri's Scholars Program. It's new, it's free, it's a chance to invest in your child's future. The Missouri Scholars Program can be used for private school, homeschool, tutoring, therapy, and more. There's nothing more important you can do for your child's future this summer. Go to www.showmeschooloptions.org now. There could be $6,375 just waiting to be claimed. Tell your friends too. www.showmeschooloptions.org. Sign up and see. It's free. And who doesn't like free right about now?
Adam, man, your aunt parties are the best. I mean, you always find the best kitchens with all the crumbs. That is why you always have a million aunts at your parties.
Thanks, man. I love finding these homes to do this at.
Oh, man, who just pulled up?
Oh, no, it's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They seem to kill every one of my parties.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. We'd love to help you out, so please visit us online at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
The only person who can change your life is you, but you need to know how. Listen to my show, The Del Walmsley Radio Show, where the hype ends and the help begins.
Listen to The Del Walmsley Radio Show this Saturday afternoon from 1 to 2 p.m. on 97.1 FM Talk.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. In addition to heating and cooling, Air Comfort Service also offers indoor air quality, water heater, and AeroSeal duct sealing services. Get in your comfort zone with aircomfortservice.com.
Information to keep you moving. Dependable traffic mornings and afternoons with Sue Thomas. Driven by Ambassador Midwest Floor Company. The best way to deal with in-home traffic. Experience more at Ambassador Midwest Floor.
Been up since the crack of dawn, just trying to get paid.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Fry Show.
Just 2 more rows and I'm good to go.
Well, this afternoon has flown by, at least for me. For the rest of you, it's probably been slow as molasses, but it's been very fast for me. John Hancock sitting in for the last time, at least this time, for Annie Fry. Ryan Wiggins is going to take you out of the week on Friday, sitting in the big chair.
Oh, boy.
Tomorrow's going to be fun.
Brad Range is in the house on the board, and joining us for the first time today is Hannah Gibbs. What's your title here?
I am the associate producer.
Associate producer of the Annie Fry Show.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. And we've been conducting on this YouTube thing a poll out there. And Ryan, refresh our memory on what the question was that everybody
Sure.
answered.
Well, the poll is which issue will have the largest impact on the 2022 midterms? The southern border, Roe versus Wade, J6 hearings, or the economy?
All right, drum roll, please. Do we have a drum roll?
I don't.
We don't have a drum roll.
Just me slamming on the table.
Well, you just slam away. All right, Hannah, what did the people say?
All right. 81% of the voters said the economy will have the largest impact on the 2022 midterm elections.
Correct.
We all figured that would be true. I guess the curious aspect of this is more, what do people say is second?
Second place goes to the southern border.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
What did that come in?
It was at 9%, and at 8%, so neck and neck is Roe v. Wade.
Yeah.
And then third place is the J6 here.
With 0% or no?
No, 3.
Oh,
I did have a couple.
Wow.
That was an accidental click from someone. All right. We do have some comments from our listeners about this.
All right.
Doug from YouTube says the economy is the issue that affects everyone. As a result, it is the one that will have the greatest effect on the election.
Ding, ding, ding. Doug.
Gary from YouTube says, I picked the border. I'm not happy about the economy, but that can be fixed sooner, that we can get rid of 1 million illegals.
Okay, well, that's a reasonable point, Jerry.
Betsy Miller from YouTube says, the border to me is the second thing. Janine from YouTube says, it's the economy, stupid.
Yes. Do we know who originated the phrase "it's the economy, stupid"?
Yes, that was James Carville.
You are correct,
Yes.
sir. Well done. 1992.
It wasn't that long ago.
Well, 30 years ago.
No, I guess so.
It's amazing that they have forgotten that lesson so quickly.
I know. I was on the ballot in 1992. That's how long ago that was.
Wait,
I had hair.
explain.
I had a hair in
What do you mean you were on the ballot?
I was running for office in 1990.
What office?
Missouri Secretary of State.
Really?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, yeah. I ran twice
and lost.
Clearly.
Stick the knife in,
It's,
right?
As I said on election night, the people have spoken, and I can't stand them. No, I didn't.
Twice.
In 1992. I led the Republican ticket in Missouri. I lost by 1%.
Oh,
no kidding.
And the whole ticket went down. Our governor candidate was on his way to prison, and he got walloped by 20 points plus, and the whole ticket went down. I lost by 1%. The woman who beat me was impeached by the Democrats in the legislature a year and a half later. I mean, she was not.
Oh, we just got a comment coming in that says, John, I voted for you both times.
Thank you, Mom.
Mark said that.
Who did?
Mark.
Oh, thank you, Mark. I thought that was my mom from heaven raining down. So, so she got impeached, and I figured, well, the people now realize what a mistake they made. And so I ran in 1996. And again, I led the Republican ticket, but I lost by 3 points that time. And the whole ticket lost. And so at that point, I was married with a child. My wife was 8 months pregnant. I had 2 mortgages and no car, because my lease on my car was up, and no job. And I thought, this politics thing isn't working out so good. And very stressful time in my life. And I'm at that time, I'm 28 years old. I'm still a kid at that point.
Wow.
And so I swore off politics, and look at me now. So I'm sorry we digress, Anna. But so what else? What else are the
All
people
right,
saying?
we have more comments, and I think we might have
Thanks, Mark.
found the person who voted for the J6. It could potentially be Amanda. She said that was probably me. It says I voted, but I didn't. So my bad.
Isn't it funny how fast that stuff makes an impact? Or even with this one, we were kind of whatever. But those things happen, and then they go away so fast. Because I remember in the end of 2019, beginning of 2020, impeachment. Oh my gosh. this is going to be the only thing that matters in this election.
Right.
Oh my gosh, did that not matter?
Yeah.
That didn't matter at all in that election.
Well, we have, and I think it's social media more than anything. Our attention spans have gotten shorter.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I talked to the military analyst today about Ukraine. When's the last time anybody said much about Ukraine? I mean,
you know what's funny? Right as you said that, Fox tosses to war on Ukraine.
Oh, well.
they are.
But you're right.
listening.
They haven't. That hasn't been in the headlines because it's been going on for what, 3 months now?
4
months now.
Yeah.
It seems like for something to stick around, or for something to have a lasting impact, it has to stick around. It has to constantly be in the front of your mind, and it has to impact you directly.
Like inflation, for example.
Inflation.
Yeah.
Every time you go to the grocery store, you're reminded.
Which is why that poll was correct. The inflation is, you talk, Roe v. Wade's going to be a thing for a lot of people, and it will affect some votes, no question about it. But inflation, and it's not going anywhere. And I'm convinced that by the time the third quarter economic numbers come out, we will officially be in a recession in this country for the first time in a while. That is going to be what's folks going into the ballot booth, the ballot box, whatever you call it, the booth, I guess. That's what's going to be top of mind, and that's what's going to be driving the votes.
We have some more comments.
More comments.
Yes. Chris F. from YouTube says economy, but I do think Roe versus Wade will hurt Republicans.
Yeah, I think that's, you can certainly make a plausible case that is true.
Jackie S. from YouTube says 100% the economy. No one can escape the damage this administration has done. Very, very true.
Very well said, Jackie.
You know, one of the reasons I love hearing the history stories, and actually some of the stuff that I'll be doing on July 4th special, and then the music for fireworks 8 to 10 on Friday or Monday night for the fireworks thing. I'm doing some history stuff in there. And as I'm putting it together, you would appreciate it actually, because it's I got quotes from Teddy Roosevelt, actual quotes. Like they actually recorded him.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was, they went back that far.
And he doesn't sound like what you think he'd sound
No,
like.
he doesn't sound like yeah. He doesn't sound like a Rough Rider as you thought. But I've got some stuff from him. And then, of course, you go back further and you have to have somebody recreate the quotes from some of the Gettysburg Address, like you just talked about, and some George Washington stuff. But it's so amazing because in all of those moments, and the Teddy Roosevelt one in particular I'm thinking of, they were talking about we've got to maintain a form of self-government with not the people at the top controlling the people at the bottom. That is the same kind of issues we're talking about now.
Yep.
And when we talk about these historical things, man, every single thing we go through feels like it's the biggest thing that's ever happened.
Yes.
And it never is.
It just for grins sometime. You ought to go back and listen to Ronald Reagan's first acceptance speech at the Republican convention in 1980 and listen to him talk about energy policy and government overreach on environmental stuff. And it is eerie how relevant that is here 40 years hence. It's remarkable. It'd be worth your time to look it up.
The more things change, the more
indeed they do. What else you got there, Hannah?
I think that was all of the comments that I had tucked away, but this one did just come up. Someone said, "What happened to the baby food? Did that go away?" And that's true.
It's still an issue.
I haven't heard a lot about the baby formula.
In fact, somebody we had a soccer tournament last weekend. And this is just, life stuff, right? So a lady there who had a kid it's my son's age, also has a baby. And she was telling everybody there, hey, if you find this brand of baby food, please let me know because we can't find it. And that was the first I had heard about it in a while. So it must still be an issue. Especially if you have a particular type that you need to find.
Yeah.
Because we went through that. We had twins. One of them, you could drink whatever you want. My son, though, he had allergies to everything. We had to find the hypoallergenic stuff. So if you have to find a particular one, I think that's where people are having trouble.
Yeah, it's really rough. Yeah, my daughter's got a 8-week-old. 8 weeks old today, I think.
Wow.
In fact, yeah.
So she's right in the thick of it.
Yeah, but they've not needed formula, so the baby's done great with the breast milk, and it has been great. She was laughing this morning, little Tula.
First time?
No, I think she's laughed before. I mean, every time she sees Pawpaw,
she laughs. Tell her the story about 1992 and 1996.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that'll be riveting for the young thing. I'd like to forget it myself.
That's incredible. I can't believe how many times I've talked to you.
Yeah.
And that had never come up.
Well, it's like, people that served in World War II, they never like to talk about
right.
it.
Leave it in the past.
PTSD.
Yeah.
So I get out of this thing, and Georgianne literally is 8 months pregnant with Mary Catherine, now the mother of my granddaughter. And and I literally had no job. And I took out a second mortgage on the house, stupid. But I was supposed to win. I mean,
yeah.
Everybody told me you're going to win. And I remember about a week, it was like 4 days before the elections, we were doing tracking polls. And 96, that was Bob Dole, Clinton's reelect. It was a bad year for Republicans. And I remember we used to have the old fax machines, with the wax paper that was on the roll that would come out, and every morning they'd fax me the overnight numbers on the tracking poll. 4 nights before the election, the race broke. I had been winning or tied, for like a week. And then when the race broke, it broke towards my opponent. And I've done a lot of polling. I knew what that meant. And it's the weirdest feeling, to be going into election night. And there's always hope, but I was pretty sure it wasn't going to work. And, and I told my wife, and, she's still with me.
Speaking of which, what was the most surprising election? And I have one in mind. Yeah. I think we all do it as I say this. What's the most surprising election result you've ever seen?
Trump 16.
That's what I was going to guess.
Yep.
I mean, because nobody thought there was even a shot there.
Right.
I think even he didn't think he was going to win.
Well, Melania certainly didn't think he was going to win. We do know that from contemporaneous accounts of, what was happening. And it was a perfect inside straight, man, the way that thing came down. And I mean, Wisconsin, we hadn't won Wisconsin since maybe Reagan. It might have been W
or Michigan
HW.
or
right.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
All three.
Wasn't that the blue wall?
That was the blue wall.
That was the blue wall. And, everybody talked about that blue wall, but it crumbled in 2016.
And now all those states, if I'm not mistaken, are trending further and further right?
Well, so it's interesting.
They're not quite there.
Not so much statewide, but certainly at every place in the country is a lot more Republican when you chop it up than when you take it on its whole, because the big cities are so overwhelmingly Democratic that, and that's true everywhere.
Yeah.
Hannah, great job on the poll.
Thank you.
And Wiggy, we'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
I won't see you tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow because I'll be in the building. I'll just be down the hall.
I'll wave at you.
All right, that'll be good. It's always that. Yeah, you guys always ignore me when I'm on the.
I
the
wave
enemy.
to you all the time.
That's not true.
All right. Hannah will be making those eggs in the kitchen, stinking up the place. We all
As
appreciate
usual.
that. I got to figure out this diet because I got to do something. I want to thank all of you for listening. It's the Andy Fry Show. It's 97.1 FM Talk. If I don't see you before, which I probably won't, happy 4th of July.
Orthodontic care isn't something you just want to leave.